Well, we have had two fantastic days in Winterberg here in South Westphalia, and now we begin the third and final day of this wonderful opening World Cup luge weekend. Already there's been mixed singles success for Müller and Schulte and Austria. The Germans took the mixed doubles, and the Felix Lock success gave those luge romantics a great win to kick us off yesterday before two blisteringly good doubles races. The men's won by Gatt and Schurp for Austria, holding off a predictable German challenge, and the women's won by Degenhardt and Rosenthal for Germany, holding off a predictable Austrian one. So far, we've had 3 wins for Germany and 2 for Austria, and just 1 top 3 success for any sled but a German or Austrian one, the Latvians, in the mixed doubles. Can someone pull off an upset today as the women's singles takes center stage, followed by the wonderful harem-scarum madness of the team relay? And there are many, many different ways of getting yourself ready for a luge race. I doubt she's listening to Metallica, but I tell you what, she's in the zone and she is ready to go. Well, everyone gathering around near the start. Mark Hatton is with me, looking forward, I know, to what should be 2 terrific races. 25 go in the women's singles, and then we've got the relay, the mixed relay, coming up later on, the team relay, where all 4 disciplines go. But what are you looking for from this women's singles? And by the way, a very good morning to you, Mark.
Good morning, Dave. Good morning, everybody. It's been such a great couple of days of racing, hasn't it? I mean, Winterberg, they jumped in at the very last minute when we couldn't run that first World Cup in Eagles because of their reconstruction of the track and a few complications they hit. And Winterberg just jumped in and said, we're going to do this, regardless of the weather. And I just want to say, Stefan Piper, Hans-Jürgen Kohner from the organizing committee as well, they've just done a wonderful job in giving the athletes such a great field of play in incredibly challenging conditions. I mean, it doesn't look like a winter sport out there when you've got people walking around in T-shirts. But yeah, looking at today, I mean, what a field. It's a very, very elite field, as it should be in World Cup. But we even look at our athletes from Nations Cup. You know, Alexandra Oberstolz, so young, but such a impressive junior, starting to make her mark on World Cup. Emma Susko, second off, again, from the Nations Cup. You know, so close to a singles world championship medal last year. So I don't think it's just going to be the usual suspects that turn up in the leaders box today.
Janke Jeneker as well, the young German, great success, of course, as a junior as well. And, you know, you always take a second look at any luger from Germany, don't you? And lots of names dotted around, some of the big traditional ones as well. And that battle up towards the top is going to be so fascinating. And I think it's also great, isn't it, to get into the rhythm of the season. I mean, we talked about this yesterday, but with the Olympics hanging over this season, to build towards, and of course the World Cup season, keep reminding you, does go beyond the Olympic Games as well. It doesn't just peak there, but it certainly crests there. And then we'll worry again about the World Cup after the Olympics in early February, the luge events anyway. But it's great to get into the rhythm, to start looking at who's sliding well, to start wondering who's building towards it. I love seeing all the Pilates. I'm a Pilates geek, so I love watching all of this. The athletes getting themselves ready. It's such a core sport. Of course, fast twitch fibers so crucial as well. Not just dynamic stretching, but really good core work going on as well. And as if by magic, I talk dynamic stretching, and we see the athletes going through all of these routines. I love, by the way, with all the stretching, the way that people have learned by the use of bands, by the use of the odd rail here. It'd be great to have a specific stretching area like you have in what I would describe as a posh gym. But if you don't, you can do it anywhere. If you take your bands with you, and I love the improvisation. I'm a big paddle player, for example, and I love watching people stretching on the side of the court by putting the band around, you know, in the netting on the side of the court and getting themselves ready that way. And you can do it too in the luge. We're watching all of the warm-ups at the Veltins Ice Arena. We'll have a look, of course, at the virtual of this tremendous course for the women's singles, and we get the privilege, I say this every time, of Mark talking us through that POV as well. That's all to come before the women's singles gets underway. And I wonder as well, Mark, before we do all of that, and that may be imminent, so feel free to stop. In fact, it is imminent, so I'm going to ask you that afterwards. I promise you, I didn't know that was coming. So here we go. The track length, 1293 in terms of meters. We know the vertical drop is 110. The estimated maximum speed is 130. We're back to 15 corners. Remember, we were down to 11, weren't we, for the doubles. The Omega starts us off, the Trilux, then that amazing 270, the signature curve here at Winterberg. The Kreisel, there it goes, around that, the green line. I love these graphics, take you around the course and show you what they build towards, which is that labyrinth, and then the uphill finish, and both of those can catch the athletes out. And I think that really shows you, as we dip into that labyrinth, why it's so difficult. And Mark now, a two-time Olympian, can talk us through the virtuals here, the POV.
Here we go from the ladies start, and we're going into curve 2 now. Now, this is where the athletes have to be so gentle with the sled, not move around too much and not make any tiny mistakes, because it's so flat up here. It's quite slow. They're topping out at about 85, 90 Ks until they exit Kreisel. And this is the entrance to the Veltins Kreisel. All that G-force, you see it slowing the sled down as they come out, and this 8-9 transition is crucial because 9, I'd say the second signature curve, you can see this is where the sled really starts to accelerate. The boosters go on and they go into the labyrinth, into 13, and this uphill finish curve that can be such a cruel curve if you make a mistake before, and then that short shot to the finish line. They sit up, put the air brakes on, pull on the front of the sled, and up for another one, hopefully, if they make the top 20.
There's the temperature. I know you're always, well, correctly, always concerned about that. It's absolutely crucial. So talk us through what all of that means.
Well, this is going to be a very challenging day for the track crews. Plus 7.4 air temperature, 0.4 ice. So just off being kind of slushy water almost, and a little bit of rain and humidity as well is going to make this track very challenging to keep fast for all 25 athletes that go in this first run. So they're going to have to work really hard with the refrigeration plant. The track crew here are so good at making these decisions on the fly because they're used to the weather not being optimal in Winterberg.
Tabbits, we saw course record. She goes here, of course. She probably starts as favourite. And here's our field. Tabbits going 14th. Frabel, fastest in that Olympic test event, going just after her. Bereiter, of course, a major threat. Schulter as well. Do we talk about athlete number 24? We will do when she comes along, that's for sure. The daughter of my co-commentator here. So, Kaya, we wish you luck later on, of course. And can she make the top 20? That would be the target, I'm sure, to go on that second run. The crowd making their way in. You see, everything that's difficult for the track crew is great for the crowd because it's just that little bit warmer. Bigger crowd here on a Sunday as well as they make their way down the hill to get into those good viewing areas. And there are some tremendous places to watch these sleds absolutely fly by out on the course. So all we wait for is our first athlete. Lots of friends and families there as well, of course. It will be Alexandra Oberstolz, who Mark has already spoken about, the young Italian who will get things underway. A reminder, if you're new to this wonderful sport, it's 2 runs in the women's singles. We will expand that in the Olympic Games, but we will, of course, explain that closer to the time. But in these World Cup events, it's 2 runs. The first will have 20 plus. It's 25 in this case. The second, it will be whittled down to 20. And there is Alexandra Oberstolz, 7th in the mixed singles with Leon Haselrieder, 16th in the Olympic test event, just 18 years of age from South Tyrol, that hotbed of Italian luging, and the daughter of the former Italian lugers, Christian Oberstolz and Anastasia as well. So great pedigree. Nice Christmas touch by the start as well. Slightly terrifying, I thought that. Snowman with a strange look on his face. Oberstolz. The music plays. She looks for a fast start. She looks to set the tone as Alexandra Oberstolz gets Sunday underway here in Winterberg.
Here we go. As you can see, this track looking shiny right now, but how long is that sheen going to last as she goes into this very important curve to this uphill section that puts the brakes on early on and then dives out from 3 to 4. She's just going past the double start where we saw all the action yesterday. And into curve 5, she'll be topping out at about 80 kilometers an hour now. And this is one of the first critical sections, this 6 to Kreisel transition. She makes light work of that. Alexander Oberstolz into 8. And looks like a good transition to the other signature curve, curve 9. You see curve 9 and 10, almost one curve. And then curve 11. This really sets the tone for the labyrinth, but this is a gorgeous labyrinth from Oberstolz. Great position through the finish curve as well. Not much to pick out of that run, and a great run to open the scoring.
Yeah, that looked really good. Of course, we never know until everyone's gone and all of that. But a big smile. She's happy. She's happy, you can tell. And
that's interesting.
Fabulous
Certainly times that were slower than in training. So that's going to be the weather doing that. There was a 56.235. And that's going to be very telling for the later athletes in the order. And as you know, that we have the top athletes, you know, Merle Frabel going 15th, Natalie Mark going 17th. You know, this could deteriorate quickly, this track.
Ember Susko, great run in that mixed singles with Theo Downey, another youngster, just 20 years of age, improving all the time. And as Mark said earlier, just outside the medals, 4th in the women's singles at the World Championships in Whistler. The under-23 silver came from that performance, but she's improving all the time. Her season is going to be more fascinating than most, and here she goes.
And, you know, I love watching Ember slide. She's just grown in confidence. We mentioned that that third place she got in the team relay in Whistler on our home track in the Worlds. And I feel this Canadian team, they've just got so confident before that. Little bump before Kreisel, though, there for Ember. So now she's going to really have to pull out the stops when it gets fast as she goes into the steeps from 9 to 10. Curve 11, a little bit loopy, but getting away with it into the labyrinth. Again, a really beautiful labyrinth from Susko. She gets as much speed out of that uphill section, and we've got a new leader by 7 thousandths of a second. Ember Susko over Christian Oberstolz. Well, that ages me. Alexander Oberstolz of Italy.
Yeah, Ember Susko grabbing the lead then. The clock arriving just in time to tell us that 7 thousandth the distance, but that's 2 very clean looking runs so far.
Hi everyone! Oh, good run.
You know, that's what we
delighted.
see when the track is slightly soft. The athletes have just that little bit more grip, so they can. It's just, you would never say this sport was easy, but it makes it a wee bit more user-friendly.
With unerring accuracy, you've just answered a question literally that I was about to ask, as Anke Jenike of Germany gets underway. The young German just starting out really on this World Cup journey. She was 26 in that Olympic test event. Great success as a junior luge. And let's see how her time matches up with Susko in that first part of the course. She's in the red at the moment, Jenike, and just outside, 0.04 of a second outside of Ember Susko's time.
Saw a little problem on the start back there from Jenike, just coming very close to that right-hand wall, having to sit up slightly longer before she could get in her sled. That's going to cost Jenike. She seems to have composed herself. We go into curve 9. That's a very inch-perfect entrance to 9. 9-10 linked up together perfectly. One of the best curve 11s we've seen so far. Nice and early into 13-14. These athletes putting down some great runs early on, 128 kilometers an hour, and another new leader.
Yeah, Jenike picked up, didn't she? She was in the red until about halfway down, but she kept her cool, held her nerve, and she now takes the lead. Just the early skirmishes, these, but of course they're going to be important in terms of what position you go in that second run and whether or not you make that second run. It's a good run there from Anke Jenike.
And this is a great shot. You can see how relaxed the athletes are on the sled. You know, you see their bodies just going with the bumps, going with the flow, and allowing the sled to run. And this is what separates the best from the almost the best, is just how they can relax into their sleds.
Now here's Alina Botta, who can be a player this season. 5th in the mixed singles with Krista Zapejods. 9th in that Olympic test event. She might like that course. She's got off to a really good start here as well. Let's see what Botta can do down the course.
Big start. from Alina Bota, and starting to build on that. The perceived wisdom is that a tenth of a second, for example, on the start will multiply to 3/10 by the bottom of the track. And we're hopefully going to see that on here, and we do, as the multiplier starts to go. And then once she gets out of curve 9, negotiating Kreisel beautifully there. Once she gets out of curve 9, that's when it gets spicy, that's when it gets fast, and that's when all that advantage she's found at the top of the track is going to help her build speed through this very tricky labyrinth. But a big skid into 13, manages to get the shoulders back, arrest the skid, but that could cost her. Let's see how that affects the split. As we say, she took enough speed from the top sections in there, but that will bode well for her for the second run, because we know there's so much more she's got in the tank.
Yeah, it cost her a little bit of time. She was absolutely flying. She was half a second clear, and in the end, it was 3/10. It's still good, though. Really good from Bota, and she dealt with the slide, didn't she? That's the point.
Just see her hanging on high in the exit of 12, and rather than the sled diving out nose first, it kind of fell out sideways. And when that happens, you know it's sending you early to 13.
Now Dorothea Schwarz of Austria won a Nations Cup event in Altenberg back in January. Competes in the women's doubles as well with Lisa Zimmermann. Schwarz 10th in that Olympic test event, another who could improve throughout this season, but another, of course, from a big sliding nation. There's an awful lot of talent in front of her as Schwarz gets underway and looks to get inside Botta's time at that top part of the course, but she's in the red at the moment, and she's over a tenth of a second outside of it in the early part of this run.
Well, this is such a tricky start curve for the women. We saw just now that little problem on the start. That will have cost her. You've really got to thread the needle between curve 0 and the right-hand wall. And if you don't get it quite right, you've got to just rein it in a little bit and make sure you get through without hitting that right wall, which she managed to do, but she looks like she's got it back together now. So Schwarz trying to make a push for it through the labyrinth. Maybe she's left it too late. Let's see it, the finish split. 133 kilometers an hour. That's lightning in this on this ice. And the new leader, wow, putting on the afterburners. Dorothea Schwarz, our new leader.
Yeah, Schwarz really picked up.
As you can see, she's lost her face shield somewhere. So when that happens on the track at that speed at 133 kilometers an hour, you can't see a thing, because that wind is going straight into your eyes, that gale force wind that you get from going at that speed. Be interesting to see where that face shield came off.
Well, she was just telling the coach exactly which curve it happened in. She was just saying exactly where she dropped it, and wants the coach to go and get it.
So the Veltins Kreisel on a nicer day, often full with a Bratwurst stand and a Glühwein stand and a real party atmosphere.
There it is.
And there it is, there it goes. Wow, in the finish curve, but still going at that speed. We saw her go through that clock at 133. So that's gonna make your eyes water.
Yep. She's just
but
about...
in the rules, it's one of the only pieces of kit that you can lose in the track without a disqualification.
Literally was about to ask you, so there you go. Well done, Mark. Earning your money this morning. Juliana Tunitska goes next. 10th in the mixed singles with Anton Dukac. 24th in the Olympic test event. 25th here in Winterberg last season, getting into the zone. Trying to focus on every little bit of information, every little movement, every little bit of steering. It's such a nuanced sport that she's trying to remember her route down this course. And here she goes. Tiny delay for her. You hear the question, are you ready to race? And she calmly waited until she was ready and nodded her head. And now Juliana gets ready to go for Ukraine. The music plays. And she's going to burst into life in a moment. Music will be blocked out. She uses those spike gloves to pick up speed in the early part. What's the start like here for Tunitska? It's good. It's inside Schwarz, and Tunitska starts to fly now.
Tunitska making the jump up from juniors to seniors this year. very, very accomplished junior athlete. And as we just saw, a big starter as well. Losing a bit of time through these top curves, but keeping it together and keeping calm, keeping smooth as we go into the Veltins Kreisel. Just dropping out of 6th there into Kreisel. Not an optimal line, but not going to cost her too much as we go 8 to 9. 9 going into 10, almost like one curve. And she links those curves perfectly. A little bit of height on the exit 11, that's not going to do her any harm either, but just falling out of 13, having to take a little bit of evasive action into the finish curve, drops her speed down to 120, falls off the exit. Yep, I feel you. A little bit skitterish through the end there, but still, top section for Tunitska, very good, but just let down in the bottom section. So more to come on the second run.
Well, one thing that was fascinating there is from our great camera shots, particularly through the labyrinth, you can actually see her taking a longer route, which is what costs her the time. It's literally that, isn't it? As well as the slight loss of speed, but you can see that it was all wrong there, and all that great work in the top section is thrown away in the bottom.
Yeah, you saw that in 13 on those pictures, just getting hung up in the exit. When that happens, the sled falls out of the curve rather than drives out of the curve. And that's when you've really got to take evasive action before you go into that uphill curve.
We talk about inter-team rivalry. Here's Olena Schmacher, 15th in the mixed singles with Andrei Manzi behind Tunitska there. Tunitska making a mistake here though, so can Schmacher get ahead of her here in this women's singles? 27th here in Winterberg last season, and Schmacher looking to continue that green down the course. It's been a really good start from her. How does she look here? She's just outside Schwarz at the top of the course.
Schmacher straight into the green on the start. But you're losing some time down through that tricky section into curve 2. Curve 2, such a critical curve. It's very low speed, but it's uphill in places, and if you don't get it right, you end up driving uphill. And as we know, this is a gravity sport. Downhill helps. You go 9 to 10, very smooth through 9 to 10. Lovely entrance to 11, one of the best we've seen. And sewing together a lovely labyrinth as well. 126 kilometers now for Schmacher. Can she find something from the labyrinth? Not quite. Into 6 for Olena Schmacher for Ukraine.
So Schmacher ahead of her teammate Tunitska. Still Dorothea Schwarz leading the way in the early stages, remember, of this first women's singles run. Some of the big names starting to line up, starting to get ready. Busatoyu to go next, but then we look at Prock and Almayer, the Austrians, then Schulte, Bereiter, Taubitz, Frebel. Names you expect to be up near the top. Here's Joanna Busatoyu, 11th in the mixed singles with Valentin Cretu, who's had such a good weekend. 18th in Winterberg last season for Joanna. And she starts off her World Cup women's singles campaign here. And can she get ahead of Schwarz at the start? She can. 200ths of a second there. Good start from Busatoyu, but Schwarz picked up pace down the course. Can Busatoyu do likewise here as we go and look towards this second split here? She's just outside Schwarz now.
It's interesting to look at this camera angle as well. You can see the ice is just starting to go a little bit more milky, a little less shiny. So that's the track slowing down in real time with this almost +8 outdoor temperatures. Busatoyu, Karina Busatoyu here, going a little late into 8, but deals with it very nicely, just taps onto 9. She's going to have to do a bit of work here though, completely misses out 10 and late into 11. Having to do more work on the sled, more input, but gets it back together for the labyrinth. That's a good finish curve. That's going to help her through the finish line into 7th place, back by 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, Busatoyu well outside. Looks a little disconsolate with that. But everyone has different targets here over these World Cup weekends. Don't think Busatoyu has necessarily met hers, but her target, of course, it is to win, but realistically, is to get into that second run first of all and see what happens from there. That might be Just an outside chance at the moment, but we will see. Now, interestingly, coming next is Hannah Prock. We start to get into the big names. Prock third in the mixed singles with Wolfi Kindl. I'm sure I saw him out earlier cleaning the track. He does absolutely everything. 12th in that Olympic test event, fired up and focused. Already a two-time Olympian, and third here back in January. Away goes Hannah.
Now, hopefully we see that start on the slow-mo, because that was absolutely great to watch. Just so much precision from Hannah Prock. Her father was the fastest starter in the world, Marcus, and Hannah Prock getting lots and lots of those family genetics. But into the red now behind Schwarz. This, again, the inter-team rivalry, and it's down to 8 thousandths of a second, quicker than you can blink, as she goes round the Veltinskreisel. Now, 8.9 is going to be critical here, but it's so tight. 2,000, she's starting to find some time from somewhere. Goes into the green as she goes into 11, and into the labyrinth. The labyrinth, got to be smooth here, Hannah, and it is. This is going to be close. 126 kilometers an hour on the fastest part of the course, and into first place. Hannah Prock over her country, over her compatriot, Schwarz.
Yeah, a little smile and a wave, and she's here with real ambition.
That's a decent time on this quality of ice. 55.742. Remember, when they're training, the kit's not quite as tuned. She's pretty happy with that, though. Looks like there's something to work on. Who knows what? Looked pretty good to us from up here.
See the fans in the background as we get ready for Barbara Almayer, another Austrian. Prock with that outstanding start.
That's what we were talking about earlier, that tricky start curve for the women, so difficult to negotiate. And once you're offline, you're really just working off your instincts to try and get the sled back where it needs to be. But that is going to cost Almayer. When you lose that speed through this flat part of the track, there's just nowhere to go, nowhere to find speed further down. As you can see, 3/4 of a second back.
So Almayer needs to try and find that from somewhere. The police officer, Barbara Almayer. It's a popular sport amongst police officers, this. She's still down on Prock as she heads now down towards that bottom part of the course, trying to set herself up for the labyrinth here. Can Almayer pick it up? She's still in the red as she heads towards that final turn, the final curve, and she's outside by over a second, and I'm afraid the mistake at the start compounded down the course. She's 8th, Almayer. That's really disappointing for her.
Huge disappointment for Almayer, as you say. You just see here that right-hand wall. We've seen a few of our sliders just get so close to it, and it really is. I mean, threading the needle, it really is the term for that start. It's such a short passage of track that these athletes have to get the track through. And it's such a dynamic time for the athletes as well, because they're starting, they pull, they paddle, but then they've still got to get into the sled. And that moment between sitting up and lying down is when the sled is at its least stable.
So Tove Kahala now, the Swede, 12th in the mixed singles with her brother Svante, 14th here in Winterberg last season. She'll be looking for top 15 here. She's just adjusting herself at the start there as she is just outside Prock, 9th fastest starter here.
Yep, Tove into curve 2, nice entrance to curve 2. That is going to help her cause. She goes past the old lady start from back in 2006, I think. Now the double start, just bumping on to curve 5. Keeping her cool though. 5-6 transition looking good, and also a nice transition to the Kreisel.
When you said old lady start, I thought you meant the start for the over 50s, but Tove Kahala trying to pick up speed here, but Nearly half a second behind that outstanding time. Hannah Prock of Austria leading the way at the moment. And Tove Kahala is not about the lead here. She's about how high she can finish, whether she can set herself up for a second run, 132 kilometers per hour. And she's picked up a little bit in the bottom part of the course, and a round of applause for that. 7th for Tove Kahala as things stand at the moment. So quicker than 4 to this point.
Yeah, Tove there, very good looking 9-10 section. That was really nice to watch. Just hanging up there in the Kreisel, though, just a little bit of a loop she got there. That makes that transition from 8 to 9 a little bit more challenging. As you can see the left leg off the sled slightly as he tried to get it off that curve. But Tove and all the Swedish setup, just such impressive athletes and really confident right now.
So we get down now towards our big contenders. Winner already in the mixed singles with Jonas Müller. Lisa Schulte, 3rd in that Olympic test event. Targeting a gold, of course. She's going to turn 25 next week. Schulte trying to take on her teammate here, Prock, but just over 100th of a second outside Prock's outstanding start. Remember, though, Prock was really quick at the start. Can Schulte pick up time down the course here?
And this is where those start numbers are so important. She's 300ths back right now. But Schulte, such an impressive slider, and one of those sliders that just finds speed, especially further down the track. As you can see, though, that is starting to get away from her. She's 700ths back now.
Looking for this next split for Schulte. She's slow, isn't she here, Schulte? She's going to need a really quick bottom part of the course here, Schulte. Prock's target time, 55.742, as Schulte goes through that labyrinth. Has she picked up the time? No, she hasn't. 2/10 outside, 4th for Lisa Schulte. She's got work to do in that second run.
Yes, indeed. And it was a solid labyrinth as well, but the damage was done a little further up top. Great shot of the start there with those spiked gloves. You see Schulte through the Veltins Kreisel. And this is the exit of curve 9. Another great shot. But Lisa Schulte within touching distance, 2/10 back. So some work to do for the second run.
Now then, Anna Bereiter, silver medalist at the Beijing Olympics, the sports soldier from Bischofswiesen, gold in Oberhof 2023. 2nd overall in the World Cup a couple of seasons ago. And she needs a clean first run. She's not a great chaser in the second run, but she's really good at backing up a clean first run. So Bereiter here underway, and a skid at the start there. Has that cost her? Just outside, well outside the time of Prock. 11th fastest start for Bereiter.
Well, there was nothing Anna could do on the start there. She could see she was heading towards that right wall. So she took the best course of action she could, just had to drop the feet. But that is going to affect her. That's going to make it tough to make up time through the bottom. And you see straight away it's getting away from her by 1.5 tenths. As she goes into the Veltins Kreisel, looking for that smooth line through those blue marks that are so helpful for the spectators here in Winterberg, but just bumping onto curve 9 as well. Curve 9-10, getting it back together.
Such a momentum sport, and she lost it at the top, and through the labyrinth she goes now. Bereiter, 126 kilometers per hour. Bereiter speeding towards the finish, but speeding into 5th. Disappointment for Anna Bereiter. Much work for her to do as well.
Yeah, Anna Bereiter, you saw there at the top, the damage was done early on. And when that happens up there, this track is almost flat until the exit of Kreisel, curve 7. And you just see there dabbing the feet. I mean, to be fair, she got away with it incredibly well. But you can see Patrick Leitner there just living it back on the sled himself there, and just knowing that that is just catastrophic at the start.
Big names to come now. Big names to come.
Kann man nichts machen, passiert.
I think the other thing you learn as an outsider like me watching this sport, it can't always be perfect. Even the excellent, the very good, the very best, they're not always perfect. Talking of nearly always perfect, Taubitz goes next, second in the mixed singles with Felix Loch. 5 Crystal Globes, 4 in a row. The world champion Taubitz, 3,000th of a second already ahead of Hannah Prock. Great start from her, although she moves into the red now. She tries to get ahead of Prock at this split, but she's 500ths of a second down, Taubitz, in that technical part of the course. Needs to pick up speed here, Mark.
Absolutely, she did the hard work on the start, though. It was a solid start. She got a 3,000th advantage, but it's got to find something here. Curve 2 again from Taubitz was looking good, carrying as much speed as she can, but she's going to run out of traction. She's got to chase it down through the labyrinth.
Here she comes, down towards the labyrinth, Taubitz. Looking for that line. And Taubitz through, but disappointing for her as well, and a puff of the cheeks once again from the German team. Taubitz and Bereiter underperforming. Austria have 3 of the first 4, but Merle Frebel comes next. Austria 1, 2 and 4. Elina Botter in 3rd at the moment. Taubitz and Bereiter 5 and 6. But, and it's a big but, Merle Frebel waits to follow her teammate.
So just bumping onto curve 6 there as well. We missed that in real time, but that bump onto curve 6, that's an expensive mistake. The beauty of this sport, for most of them, they get a second run to put it all right.
So here is Frebel, 3rd in the mixed singles with Max Langenhan. Remember, he apologized to her for that 3rd place. He said she deserved to win it. And she won the Olympic test event in Milan as well. She's one of the favorites for gold there. What can Frebel do? She's already watched 2 underperforming teammates here. She now targets that time of Prock, and she's already inside it. An excellent start here from Frebel. She needs now, though, to back it up on this technical section at the top. At the moment, that's exactly what she's doing as we look towards that split, and that's better, isn't it? Frebel now, the outstanding German here.
400ths of a second advantage on the start, just dropping a little bit on that second split. This is going to be crucial. This is where we're going to see what's happening with this track, and it's dropped down. She's back by 25,000ths of a second as she negotiates the Veltins-Kreisel. Going to have to be inch perfect through this bottom section. Curve 9, 10 though, linking it up together. Let's see how 11 sets her up for this lap.
Yeah, Frebel now needs to get this right as she heads into that labyrinth, heads into that final turn. Has she got inside Prock? She hasn't. She's in 4th, she's ahead of her 2 teammates. Is the course, the track just starting to slow here? And are we going to see these wrongs put right in the second run? That might yet be the case, but at the moment it's frustrating for this German team.
It is. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, in terms of the second run, the sled setups they go for, especially the Austrians. I think we saw yesterday they talked so much about the setup in these conditions, and I feel the Austrians have just maybe got the advantage over the last couple of days.
So Frebel moves into 4th, so Austria 3 of the top 5 right now. Remember, it can all change in the second run, and this is setting up a brilliant second run, of course, at the moment now. Kendia Apayoda, 6th in the mixed singles here with Gintz Berzins. Just outside the top 10 in that Olympic test event. Apayoda has already watched her teammate Botter into 3rd, so can she get up towards those heady heights? No reason why she can't, and she's inside that start time of Prock, the 3rd fastest start we've seen here from Kendia Apayoda.
Done everything she can now. So this 17 split's going to be incredibly telling, and it is 13,000ths of a second back. So she's got to find something through this flat section, but it's so flat up top. Very, very difficult to find speed. but whatever you can find, as she just bumps into Kreisel as well. On this ice, that's not going to help either. Just goes into curve 8. Curve 9's where it's going to really start to speed up for Kendia Apayoda. Little skid into 11 as well.
This familiar theme, though, of them losing time down towards the bottom of this course is continuing. Apayoda, has she picked up any time here through the labyrinth? She's 10th. A shake of the head, she is 10th. Nearly half a second behind. And this theme is developing.
Indeed, this start order for the second run is going to be crucial. You see her just going very high in the entrance to Kreisel there, dropping down. Again, that's not going to help her. She just took that little bump on the entrance of Kreisel, which just pushed her away. And when that happens, you go high in the entrance and makes it very, very difficult to carry the speed and just undoes all the hard work she did on the start ramp.
Now, Natalie Marg had a brilliant Olympic test event, the Swiss athlete. She was 5th there. Quick time in the second run after being 7th after the first. She was 10th here in Winterberg last season. Could she emerge as an outsider for an Olympic medal in Milan Cortina? She most certainly could. Let's see how Natalie Marg goes here at the start. And she's inside that start time of Proc, but if you've watched the last 6 or 7 runs, well, you'll know what has tended to happen. She's still in the green, going up towards this second split time. You can see Proc's time at the top there. Now she's just outside it by just a 12,000th of a second, and now she moves into the red. Can Marg put things right down towards the bottom of this course, or has it slowed up so badly it's proving almost impossible?
Well, this is true. It's she's done as much as she can, but you can just see by those splits in the right-hand corner, no huge mistakes, but the time is starting to slip away. A quarter of a second back from Hannah Proc now.
Yeah, Marg just has to try and stay in this second run now. She'll be looking for top 10, looking for something at least to target. Has she got anywhere near that as she heads towards the finish? 9th. 9th, just under half a second behind. More frustration for these athletes, and yeah, I think that little look and that hand gesture says it all for Natalie Marg. I do feel a bit for these late starters now. Some of the qualifiers will be coming through, including one in whom, of course, we're very interested in the penultimate run, but we'll get there in a moment. But Natalie Marg's certainly going to be a contender this season, Mark.
Yeah, Natalie Marg had such a great season last year. I was hoping that we were going to see her in the mixed as well this year with Alex Falazzo, because they had so much success. Switzerland and Australia was a combined team last year, so hopefully we see more of that in the mix later on in the year. But I think in the second run, we're going to see a little bit of a reshuffle as well.
Trinity Ellis goes next from Pemberton in British Columbia. 6th in that team relay with Canada in Beijing. She's gone well in World Cup events as well. Trinity, an athlete that Mark knows very well indeed. How's she gone at the start? She's just outside Proc's time. We know how hard it's going to be for Trinity now down the course.
Just outside, but the thing with Canada, they had 2 excellent sled technicians on their team. Robert Fegg, formerly of Team Germany, and Duncan Kennedy of Team USA. And they're going to have been in the workshop last night looking at the weather forecast, thinking, how can we squeeze the most out of this track? Thea negotiating the Veltins. Kreisel lying back, trying to get good aerodynamics, just bumping onto 9, high in the entrance of 9. Shouldn't affect her too much. And a good flat line through 11.
Now into that labyrinth she goes, Ellis. Let's look at that speed, 125 kilometers an hour. We look for that number, it's 15. So Ellis is gonna be right on the edge in terms of trying to make that second run. Trinity Ellis, 15th at the moment. Susko in 10th, her teammate. Caitlin Nash to come next.
Yeah, Trinity Ellis, a class act, and that finish for the first run, not for reflecting what she's capable of. But the consolation, she's got a green light, so that means she doesn't have to get control, doesn't have to get the sled measured, the suit, the body weight.
Love these little details of the sleds, the maple leaf there. Maple leaf because this is Caitlin Nash, product of that Whistler Sliding Center supply line from the 2010 Winter Olympics. Nash goes straight after her teammate. Remember, Susko is currently 10th, Ellis in 15th. Nash just outside the time of Proc at the start.
So Nash so close to that left wall, but managing to get through it, but just through by the skin of her teeth, as she's back by almost 2/10 at this section. Bumping onto 5 as well. That is going to be expensive for Caitlin. So now she's got to try and save this run, try and get into that top 20 so she gets the second run. That bump before Kreisel as well, though, so expensive in these flat upper curves.
And that's exactly what she's looking at now, isn't it? The top 20 has to be the target. Can she make it? Nash needs to pick up time. This is going to be really, really close as she heads through that labyrinth. She's going to be nowhere near Proc, but where will she be? 17th. For Nash, gives her a chance, gives her a big chance, I would say, of making that top 20 now with 6 athletes to go.
And that's going to be interesting because if she's 20th, she will get the fastest ice of the day. But you just see her falling out of curve 4 into 5, and that bump onto 5, such an expensive mistake to make. There's no time to find up there in those top curves. So you've got to be just perfect. But Caitlin, hopefully, going to get a second run and an opportunity to put things right.
Margita Siesnina, 20th here in Winterberg last season. Just outside the top 20 in that Olympic test event. It's been a good event so far this for Latvia, of course. Botta with a really, really good run, still lying in 3rd. Apayoda slightly more disappointing in 11th, but the late start time did not help her as Siesnina tries to get close to Proc, but already 2/10 of a second outside our Austrian leader.
Been really impressed with Margita Siesnina, though. Siesnina, she's in the Olympic test event. I was looking at the training times, and when she puts down a heater, she really does. So much talent, so much depth in this Latvian team. Such a great setup. A little late into 8, though. Big bump before 9. She's got to get it back under control.
She's struggling desperately, isn't she?
To the roof.
Wow. Just about hanging on. It'll cost us so much time. What an effort from Siesnina to finish, though, but it's going to be well outside in 20th for Siesnina. You can talk us through what went wrong there.
And it all started on that exit of Kreisel. Hopefully we'll see her. But this is a wonderful experience. I mean, the positive you can take from this, you know, we haven't seen much of her on World Cup. You see her exit 8 here, very high. And when that happened, the sled drops out. And then you're going deep, deep, deep into the belly of curve 9. She's trying to get it back all the time, but there comes a time where you run out of curve, and that mistake is then compounded into the next curve and the next curve.
Well, mistakes happen. That was the look on her face, wasn't it? Here's Kofler. Remember, Italy sort of sending a B team really here to Winterberg. She was 9th in the mixed singles with EBERSPAECHER, another of the youngsters, just 18 years of age, along with Oberstolz, her teammate. Gold in the women's doubles in the Gangwon Youth Olympics in 2024 with her great friend Oberstolz. And she lists her hobbies, I saw, as thrilling activities. She's picked the right sport.
Absolutely, that's when you can make your job your hobby. But a quarter of a second back right now. Really like that 1-2 transition, though, we saw from Kofler further up. Really trying to squeeze every last ounce of speed out of these flat top curves. She goes into the Veltins, a little high in the entrance. Shouldn't affect her too much, though. And putting together a very workmanlike run here. Kofler. Solid, smooth lines. Desperate to get into that top 20.
At the moment, the times, the splits would have her about 13th or 14th here, Kofler. She's not going to challenge Proc, but 16th is where she finished. Just lost a little bit through the labyrinth, but good run from Kofler. That will be enough for a place in the top 20 and the second run.
And I would say take a bounce. Really, that was such great sliding from Koffler. Absolutely deserved that top 20 spot. And she'll be looking to have a real tilt at the top 10 for this second run.
Only question I would ask, if you list your hobbies as thrilling activities and you're a professional luge athlete, what then constitutes a thrilling activity outside of doing this? You've got to go some. Blimey, I don't want to think. Zane Kaluma of Latvia goes next, just outside the top 30 in that Olympic test event in Milan Cortina. Of course, we keep mentioning it, but all roads lead there, and that's an excellent start from Kaluma.
Zane Kaluma so close to the right wall there, but using all of her experience to keep it away, and she does for this 17 split. 1.5 tenths back and change. A little early to curve 5, but deals with it well, stays relaxed, stays calm. But the speed's starting to drop off now through these top curves.
And again, the target for Kaluma is going to be top 20, isn't it, Mark?
It has to be. You know, you've got to take that advantage of the fresh ice for run number 2, because then you realize you really could be on the elevator in the start, in the finish box, in the winner's circle. So if you can make it into the early numbers in that top 20, you're giving yourself a good chance of a good finish in this very weather-affected race.
Yeah, 16th for her, so she'll be fine. Ahead of Koffler. Kaluma into that top 20. Big smile on her face. And it's so interesting, as you've already pointed out right throughout, because you're right, in a way now, if you were going to choose a position, even if you were one of the top sledders, you'd almost go for 9th or 10th, wouldn't you? 11th or 12th to give yourself those better conditions. It's going to be harder the longer we go.
We looked at it earlier, and I thought after the 5th and 6th sled, it looked like it was starting to really get kind of that milky texture of the ice rather than shiny.
As you say, weather affected. So in a way, our leader might be one of our least likely winners, Hannah Prock. But who knows? Klaudia Domoradska goes next, 14th in the mixed singles with Mateusz Sokovic in the striking uniform of the Polish team.
Klaudia Domoradska just taking it a little bit safe at the start there, and why not? It's so critical, that start curve. So the quicker you can get in your sled sometimes, the better it is. So you've got a good opportunity to thread the needle through the start curve. Well, through the start and through curve 0. But Domoradska looking good here. The Poles in a partnership with Germany, but a little tap going into Kreisler. You just see her go above that first blue line. That could cost her as she bumps onto 8 as well. This could be a tricky 9. Just gets knocked away.
She might end up over a second outside, but that could still be enough when you look down at the times in that top 20. Another bump there from Domoradska, 125 kilometers per hour. Where is she? 22nd. 20 seconds. She lost so much time on that final section. She ends up 1.357. Only Cisnina, who made that huge error, behind her, and she'll be desperately disappointed. Even though the conditions have worsened, she'll still be disappointed with that.
Getting the sled there, that's such a great shot. You see how there's almost a slalom through those top curves for these women. Such a tricky start curve, one of the trickier ones on the tour.
Now, we know who's coming next. There's a nervous dad in the commentary box. I'm going to let you take over. Kaya Hatton goes for GB.
A little bit of a wonky pull there for Kaya, but getting it together. Takes a little bit of time to get in their sled. Kaya Hatton, her first women's singles World Cup start for Great Britain. A little high in the entrance of 2 there. Keeping calm. Working on that position through the top curves as well. Starting late here. Could affect her, just falling out of 6 into Kreisel, very high in the entrance of Kreisel. This is where she needs to find something through these fast sections, through the bottom of the track. She goes 9-10 safely round. Then 11-12 Good labyrinth curves from Kaya into the finish curve as well, going uphill 131 kilometers an hour on this ice. 57.463 into 23rd place for Kaya Hatton. She wants to have made the top 20, but in her first World Cup start for Great Britain, she's acquitted herself superbly.
Yeah, well done, Kaya, and well done you as well, Mark. Not easy to do that. Most relieved man.
Just falling out of 12 there, but keeping her calm, keeping cool. Learned on the track in Whistler. And a green light as well.
I knew you were going to say that. You were dreading a blue, weren't you? So, finally, Emma Zier of Estonia didn't finish that Olympic test event. I was going to say a bit of Blondie at the start. It's a cover of Blondie. It's a go rip-off, actually. Play the original, guys. Come on, here's Zier making her way just outside that time of Proc from the start. Her target will be that top 20. So she's going to need to be around about 1.2 seconds behind our leader. If you look at those splits, she's already nearly 4/10 outside Proc here. That's okay, but it's down the course where the problems have been in terms of the speed of the ice.
Yes, Emma Zier. I've been so impressed with Emma Zier. You know, hasn't been sliding long, but so great to see Estonia back on the tour. Great thing about Emma is she moves her feet when she steers. This is great for the spectators at home because you can actually see the inputs in the sled. You see her driving with that right foot. We're going to see it with the left now. She just brings that down off the curve through the labyrinth.
Immense skill. We're looking for the figure of 1, 2, 3. We're also looking for the finish. It's going to be well outside, 3 seconds outside. And Emma will finish bottom of the 25. Even Cisnina beating her. Cisnina and Domoradska, the two big disappointments in terms of what we were expecting. Kaya Hatton also outside that top 20. Buzatoyu ends up being the final qualifier, just ahead of the Ukrainian Tunitska. But what's going to be so interesting on the second run is what happened here with the ice. Is it going to be a chance for someone like Natalie Marg, for example, to come on strong, Oberstolz even in 12th, and maybe make use of slightly better ice, and who knows, pick up an unlikely podium. Emma Zier with a shrug of the shoulders will move away, always improving, and that really is all that matters. I think we're set up for what could be a real thriller here. Hannah Proc leads. Dorothea Schwarz, Alina Botta, Merle Frebel. Look at the Germans in 4th, 6th and 7th and 8th. That would not have been the plan, but of course, all with chances depending on these ice conditions. As Mark said, weather affected. So what an opportunity potentially for even Ember Susko to come roaring through as the ice slows and maybe pick up something unlikely and exciting. It's exactly what happened with Proc. Is it going to happen in that second run as well? Proc, remember, went 9th. And 9th she went, and she held on to that lead all the way through. Fascinating stuff at the Veltins Ice Arena. We'll be back with that second run in round about 45 minutes time, something in that region. Of course, they'll do all the work on the ice, so we'll leave you for now. There you go, 12:15 CET, so it's 50 minutes. The women's singles second run. We will see you then. We're all set for a thriller. And welcome to Winterberg. It's the second run of our ladies singles, and it promises to be an absolute thriller. Alina Botta currently in 3rd, but there is a wider context to this that I'm going to let Mark Hatton explain in just a moment. Dorothea Schwarz, it's an Austria 1-2 at the moment, currently in 2nd. Hannah Proc leads the way for Austria, but the ice slowed significantly throughout the course of that first run. So we have big hitters going from relatively far back. Jeneke 8, but then Bereiter 7th, Taubitz 6th, Schulte 5th, Frebel 4th. before we get to Botte, Schwarz and Proc. The big question is, if the ice is going to slow on this course again, how far back can still win? And that's the question we don't really know the answer to, but Mark, the point is that far back could win. There is no question of that.
Absolutely, Dave. I feel like that top 10, anyone is in with a shot. Could be incredibly interesting, and it's so difficult to call. I mean, that leaderboard, looking at Elina Botte's first run. Let's just move on to the air temperature. It's got warmer. We're almost at 10 degrees. That's going to make a big difference. And this guy, what he's doing is spritzing the track, making sure there's a fine layer of ice on top, and that makes a huge difference to the speed of the track.
I love the phrase spritzing with regard to that. It makes you feel like there's a touch of white wine thrown in, but too costly. Wouldn't quite do the same job. But here, anyway, track length, this is what they're looking at today. 1293, vertical drop of 110. I know we throw those figures away, but just think about that. 110 meters over that length. It's pretty steep here, make no mistake. Omega, and then into that Chrysler, you can see the 270 degrees. Now, watch this, it's tricky from the start. We've seen mistakes at the start already. Then they lose speed in that Chrysler. It's important that you pick it up again. And then we head down towards the labyrinth, which has decided so much. But it's that bottom part of the course, almost beyond the Chrysler, where you're meant to pick up speed, where they have lost it here so far today. Mark, over to you, two-time Olympian. Talk us through this.
View from men's start here. And women's just to the left of men's start. This is curve 2, such a critical curve on the course. It's so flat through the top here. It really only starts to drop away after curve 9. So what the athletes have to do through these top curves, we see them going around curve 5 here, into 6, and into that 270-degree Chrysler. They've got to carry as much speed, gain as much advantage on the start, and be cool, be minimalistic through these top curves, and then really let the sled fly through 9, 10, and into what's been an incredibly exciting labyrinth over the past couple of days. We see this uphill curve. This is such a cruel curve. Any mistake feels like an age for the athletes to make their way out of that curve as it drags speed off the sled and crossing the finish line just a little bit further.
There you go. What a great description that was from Mark, and what a great picture that is. And I mentioned this yesterday, but it's worth repeating. And I know we saw it in our sort of virtual pictures there. That's the terrifying snowman at the start as we prepare for our second run. There's something slightly wrong about that, whether it's the wicker basket on the head, but it unnerves me. It doesn't give me the vibe it's meant to, I don't think. Candle, wicker basket on the head. It's like a sort of early 1970s horror movie, that. But anyway, the athletes like it, so that's fine. Hannah Proc leads the way, therefore she will go last, but do not be surprised, even as far back as Ember Susko, the brilliant young Canadian, whether others can come through and get into that top 3. There's some Merle Frabel fans, great to see them with the sign. And more supporters here today, partly because it's Sunday, partly too because the weather is that much nicer, which isn't ideal for the track necessarily, as you've seen, but it's much better if you're a spectator. No earmuffs yet, but I'm sure we'll see some as the day develops. So, can't wait to get this underway. It will be Joanna Buzătoiu, 57.011 in that first run, in that striking Romania uniform, to get things underway. They have that clock ticking in front of them, the digital clock. They can go in their own time as long as they're within that. And she can take all the time she wants to settle, to get ready, to know that she's going to have the best of the ice. How far up that top 20 can she get? Ready to go. This is going to be a thrilling second run of these women's singles. The Romanian Buzătoiu to get things underway. We look at the ice condition. Mark can have a good look at that. We look too at Buzătoiu. Start time of 5.062 as she starts to go here.
So yes, Karina Buzătoiu putting together a good start for this second run. As you can see, the ice, a good shine on that ice. How long's that going to last? We'll see, but that's such a great shot going into 5, very high in the entrance of 5, just dropping off and just going to bump on early to Chrysler. These are the tiny, tiny mistakes that really add up on this track. So Karina's going to have to do something special out of curve 9. This is where the mountain drops away and where they really start to build speed.
So interesting to hear Mark describe it that way. She just slides and skids a little bit, tries to correct it into that labyrinth. 127 kilometers an hour. Busatoyu is our first finisher. Her second run, 56.941, quicker than she went on the first run. And of course, that has her in first place at the moment, but with 19 athletes still to go. Those positional nuances that Mark is so brilliant at picking up, of course, all the way down the course, they add up to thousandth and hundredth of a second that will decide it. But we saw a fairly clear mistake there.
Yes, similar downtime to her first run, and we just saw that shiny ice, that fresh ice. What you gain is speed, but what you lose is stability. And we just saw her slide through 12 there.
Now then, Caitlin Nash to go next, behind her teammates Trinity Ellis and Ember Susko. Fired up and focused. They all know they have a chance. They'll be fully aware of what's going on here. Clock down to 5 and 6 pounds away at the start to try and get inside that start time of Busatoyu. It's going to show us she's 3,000th ahead. 5.082 for the start for Caitlin Nash, the Canadian.
Caitlin Nash already dropping into the red on curve 2. But you know, Caitlin can find speed anywhere on this track. She really is a class act, as are all this Canadian team.
Yeah, a team that you know well, 19th last season in Winterberg for Caitlin Nash. Now she's back into the green on that time of Busatoyu here. Nash starting to fly down the bottom part of the course.
That's a decent cushion for Caitlin Nash. She builds from 300ths to almost a quarter of a second.
Nash into the labyrinth then. High up on that curve of the labyrinth. Is she going to beat the time of Busatoyu? Yes, she is. That's really good from Caitlin Nash. 6/10, nearly 7/10 of a second in front of the Romanian. Big smile from Caitlin Nash. She takes the lead, and 56.292 is very quick indeed in her second run.
That is going to be interesting, Dave. I mean, a 56.988 on the first run. Almost knocked a second off with mistakes. And we see here from 13 to 14, just that right leg coming up, just rebalancing the sled. Did a great job through there as well.
Now that would have had her 11th after the first run. Does that tell us how quick the ice is? Does that tell us she was brilliant? Maybe a bit of both. Barbara Almayer of Austria in 18th to go now. 20th in that Olympic test event. Won a Nations Cup event in Lillehammer at the start of last season, then again in Innsbruck. A slider who's really been picking up, was 7th here in Winterberg last season, is well down after that first run and is targeting that time here, the first split of Caitlin Nash. She's just outside it by 45,000th of a second, Almayer. She needs to pick up, and she is picking up. You see her move into the green here.
This next split is going to be so interesting. Yep, 400ths of a second to play with. Now she's got to be absolutely faultless through the Kreisel, a little high on the exit. A little late to 8 as well, but gets away with it. Just taps onto 9, but it's all looking good right here as she's building on that lead. She's got just over a 10th to play with, but a big loopy line in 11.
Big loopy line there. Has that thrown her for the labyrinth? She looks pretty good through the labyrinth here as she targets that time of Nash, and she gets ahead of it. So Caitlin Nash is on the podium very, very briefly. Almayer moves in front. We would have expected this, though, in the early part of the run. That advantage for the early starters is going to be more significant the longer we go on in it. So at the moment, it's as you were, but it may not stay that way.
It was interesting in the first run. You could see the ice start to lose its sheen after the first. Maybe 4 or 5 athletes went. So just hopefully they can manage to maintain this track for the later starters.
As well as talking us through all of the technical aspects so brilliantly here, Mark is on ice watch, sheen watch, as he spots when it fades quicker than anybody. That milkiness he was talking about. Kofler goes now for Italy. We tick towards the really significant slider. She's inside the Almayer time up at the top, but we would have expected that. It's what happens next that's going to be so interesting here.
So good to see the confidence of these young Italian athletes. Look at that. She knows she's got nothing to lose. So she is just sending it head back, toes pointed, and it's working for her. Look at that, a quarter of a second to the good. Just dropping back a bit, though.
And make no mistake, these young Italian athletes will be targeting those winter games. They know that glory potentially awaits there in Milan Cortina. Much can change in the course of a season. She was dead level there with Almayer. Now she's starting to lose time.
And into the labyrinth, very high there, manages to get away with it though. Good finish curve, nice flat line through those blue lines. Such a good addition to the sport. Completely blind going across the finish line as well.
Almayer maintains the lead then after that Kofler run. Zane Kaluma to come next.
That's the position we were talking about there. Just full commitment.
Kaluma, the Latvian. Look at this. Look at that position. Just final moments of focus. Has to get everything right. The spike gloves force her down that start. Now gravity starts to take over. It was a good start from her as well. 0.3 of a second quicker. Great start from Kaluma. Is it going to set her up for a special run here, the Latvian?
They have to really go for it on the start now. You know that's the one part of the track where even if it's deteriorating, you can control it. And we saw that with Kaluma, with those 7 paddles on the start, maybe 6, but far more paddles than she did on the first run, and it's really paid dividends as she's got almost 1/3 of a second of a cushion to play with here.
And the start can be compounded down the course, as Mark is always telling us. The seconds you pick up there, the milliseconds, can translate into something special, and maybe she's starting to produce that here.
Little skid into 12, that is going to be difficult. She's skidding all the way through the labyrinth, but she gets it under control, using all that experience honed on the track of Sigulda, and into second place behind Almayer.
Felt like Kaluma was charging for the lead, and that little skid turned into something else and just cost her still quick, but not as quick as she might have been.
Here we see the problem start. And this is the entrance of the finish curve, but this is where it started in 12 into 13. And we just see on the exit of 13, she also skidded as well. But she was committed, and you've got to be when the ice is like this.
Coming next, Trinity Ellis, second Canadian. Started out in luge when she did a Cub Scout field trip. Liked the look of it, gave it a go, and here you are in the World Cup. Funny how sporting journeys work, isn't it? 15th in that first run, putting loads of work in there at the start. You could see, has she got that right? There's the Almayer time. She's inside it, 0.3 of a second inside it, and again, can she capitalize on that down the course?
Again, full commitment from Ellis through these top curves. Trinity Ellis out of Pemberton, just north of Whistler, really getting committed to this. This is where she had a little mistake on the first run, but gets it much better this run. She's stringing together a great run here, and it's showing with these splits. 1/4 of a second to the good, losing a little bit of time, but not too much, as we go from 8 to the signature curve 9.
Curve 9, and she's lost a little bit more time. Trinity Ellis, we're on ice watch still. We're waiting to see if things are slowing as they did in that first run. Ellis went a little bit high there, and she manages to correct herself into that labyrinth. Trinity Ellis, 131 kilometers an hour, just outside. Almayer keeps the lead.
Incredibly close. You can see Trinity just trying not to do too much work in the labyrinth, trying not to steer too much. It's not always pretty down there, but sometimes pretty isn't fast. Sometimes you've just got to let the sled run. We see her just getting brought up in the exit there, falls out a little bit, keeps her composure, keeps her cool. That's what you've got to do when she's on her home track in Whistler. So when she comes to Winterberg, where it's also very fast, she feels right at home.
The Ukrainian, Olena Smarha, see the advantage from the start of 0.297. They all know they have a chance now. 14th downwards, all have a chance at the top three if the ice slows later. Good start from her. The advantage increased here. 0.4 of a second for Smaha to play with against that Almayer time now.
Smaha is one of those athletes that's just gone from strength to strength in this fabulous Ukrainian program. They've got a really intense off-season regimen, and it shows from the start, say pull, and just their demeanor around the track. Running high on confidence as she negotiates this huge 270 degrees crest.
It's that brilliant mix of being super focused, super smooth, and yet relaxed all at the same time. She's pulling it off here as she heads towards the labyrinth.
Really like that low line round 9. And Labyrinth looking clean as well. A little high in the entrance, but not too bad at all. She's gotten through those blue lines, gave herself every chance, but into 5th for Smaha.
You know what I'm going to say, Mark? Are we starting to see it slow? Is this why Almayer's maintaining the lead? Because this is what happened in the first run.
And that's a great photograph on the start. Great shot on the start. You can just see the frost starting to grow through the ice. And the frost molecules, they bind to the steels as they go through the track and slow the sleds down. Crazy thing about Winterberg is you can have rain at the top, snow at the bottom, snow at the top, rain at the bottom. It's like multiple microclimates.
Tove Kavala in 13th. The Swede gets herself underway. She is well inside Almayer. Of course she is, but what is going to be significant? I say of course she is because she had the advantage from the first run, but what's going to be significant now, what's going to tell us about the rest of this second run is what happens next. Look at that. She's got 0.7 of a second advantage, Kahala, but from now is where the problem started in that first run. Is she going to start to lose time, and what will that tell us?
The thing with Tove, she's got such great position on the sled, just like her father did. And she slides so smoothly through these bottom sections. This whole Swedish team is so good at carrying speed through the bottom sections of these fast track. And you see, hasn't lifted the head once.
Fascinating this to keep looking at the time. She had 0.6 to play with as she speeds into that labyrinth, just about holds it around that final corner, and she does have the lead. And she did maintain her speed. She lost a little bit of time. But now Kahala takes over in the lead, and what does this tell us about the course? Is this an advantage now for these later starters? Because she does succeed, she does get past Almayer. Lovely pictures there. That form that Mark was telling us about. Beautiful plane from her, and she's in front. Alexandra Oberstolz, the Italian teenager. Great first run. Comes from Luge royalty. Great time in that Winter Youth Olympics, her breakthrough event in Gang 1 in 2024. Silver in this event. And Oberstolz has the advantage over Kahala after the start.
Talk about two athletes with great position on the sled. Both of these athletes, Kahala and Oberstolz, known for their position. One interesting side story as well for Kahala before. She needs, I think, a top 11 to make the Olympic team for Sweden. So this is going to be such a critical World Cup for her.
Absolutely vital, yeah. There's all of these subplots. Mark's already mentioned them, within teams, without teams, all about the Winter Games. Oberstolz waiting for this split now. She's still under.
Really stretching out there through 9. Very brave line from Oberstolz. Labyrinth again keeping the position into the finish curve. No ice to see out the back of the sled. She's giving herself every chance here as she crosses the finish line into first place.
Oh, she loved it, didn't she? There was a rueful smile from Kahala. There was a beam from Oberstolz. What a massive event this could turn out to be, because that was quick, and she is improving all the time. Could be looking at a star of the future here. Well, star of the present right now.
Without doubt, one of the most impressive sliders to come through the junior ranks, to my mind. And she knew she threw down there. She knew that was going to be competitive before she even saw the clock.
Well, she's well ahead of her teammate as well, her young teammate, which of course never hurts. Apayoda to go next. 11th after that first run for the Latvian. What can she do? Can she make an impact on that Oberstolz time? 11th in that Olympic test event. She is there or thereabouts. Already a 6th place finish in the mixed singles with Gintz-Berzins here in Winterberg. Let's look at this first split. She's just under Oberstolz.
This is going to be a lot of work to do. She doesn't have a lot to play with here. Just 0.04 of a second, but it's stabilizing down the track to the 1,000th of a second and building now to a 1/10 of a second for Apayoda. She's having a real shot at this.
And interestingly, we weren't seeing this happen in the first run. Little mistake there from Apayoda, but she's still almost 0.2 of a second clear, heading for the labyrinth.
Setting herself up well for the labyrinth, and look at the result there. A little early onto the finish curve, doesn't affect her though. As she comes through the finish line, she's going to hold on to it, and she does, into first place by just over a 1/10 of a second.
What are we reading from this, Mark, in terms of these times? Is the ice holding its speed a little better, do we think?
I think it is.
Feels that way, doesn't it?
I think it's holding up, yeah. How long it will, we don't know, and you can see it starting to lose, it's lost its initial shine. But also the coaches will have had the opportunity to maybe tweak the setups. They've had feedback from the athletes for the last 40 minutes. So there's lots, again, little subplots.
Think motor racing on ice. Ember Susko, already an 8th place finish in the mixed singles with the excellent Theo Downey, just 20 years of age. But she can fly, we know that from those World Championship in Whistler earlier on this year. She targets the time of Apayoda. Is it going to be a massive weekend for Ember Susko? She's just over, she's just 0.07 of a second over the time of Apayoda. It was slow at the start from Ember Susko.
Ember's going to have to chase this down, not known for a massively fast start, but where Ember really gets good is when it gets fast, when it gets challenging through those bottom sections. But Ember, look at that, great line out of Kreisel, and a beautiful entrance to 9.
So we expect her to pick up time in this bottom part of the course. She is going to have to here. Ember Susko, as she curves in towards this labyrinth, towards the finish. Has she done enough in the bottom part of the course? It would seem not, as she flies to the finish, and she's second. And Apayoda still has the advantage. Feels like a good weekend, but a chance gone for Ember Susko.
Yeah, Ember just ran out of track there. You could see she was on the split. She was gaining time throughout that labyrinth and just ran out of road. You see here from 12 to 13. Nice roll on to 13, looking smooth, looking calm. And we talk about stars for the present, stars for the future. This is one to watch.
Well, that's one of the themes, isn't it? An event full of talented young sliders. Great news for the future. Here goes Natalie Marg, a Swiss athlete, 9th in that first run. Remember, I told you in the first run, 5th in that Olympic test event. She really is someone who could make an impact in Milan Cortina. Just outside that time of Apayoda at the moment, but can Marg start to pick up pace on a track where she finished 10th last season, and she's in the green now. This is going to be an interesting split as she challenges the time just outside, just 100th of a second outside the time of Apayoda.
Yeah, Natalie Marg so high on confidence after probably her best season yet last season, and looking to continue that, but bumping onto 6. That is not going to help going into Kreisel. That's going to bleed time off the sled. But if anyone can do it, this is one of the athletes that could really jump on the elevator and climb up in that finishing winner's circle.
But she's lost time down the course. She's going to have to pull off a really brilliant labyrinth. It looked pretty good from the line she took here as Marg comes round the final bend. Oh, brilliant! How good was that from Natalie Marg? She smashed the labyrinth, and Marg loves every minute of that, and she takes the lead. That was something else from her, and that's what she can do.
Natalie Marg out of nowhere. We see her just through the labyrinth here, just bumping on. But again, it's all about how you react to these mistakes. People make mistakes in this sport. Everyone makes mistakes. It's how you react to those mistakes and how you fix it.
The first now of 3 German athletes in a row, the least fancied of them. Anke Jeneke. We're down now to the top 8. What a mark from Natalie Mark. And if things are slowing up, who knows what might happen here. Jeneke, a 5,000th of a second outside Mark as things stand at the moment. I think we're really going to start to learn about the condition of this course in this Jeneke run now and beyond. What's this split like? 3,000th outside the time of Mark.
This is an impressive run that Jenike's putting together now. And when we think the least fancied German in terms of results, that just shows the depth that this German program has. Just so many wonderful athletes, some not even making the team for this World Cup.
Mark told us yesterday that it's tough being the 4th place German. You can end up not being an Olympian. She's putting together a good run as she picks up time down at the bottom of the course here.
Yeah, great sliding from Jeneke here. She found speed out of 9. She's going to cross the finish line in first, and she does by 300ths of a second, just bumping past Natalie Mark.
Top 7 to come. Jeneke in front, that's all she can do. 3 more fancy Germans to follow, 2 of them instantly in Bereiter and Taubitz. Building into quite a climax here, all the way to Hannah Prock. Jeneke, though, has given herself a chance.
Committed position through the Kreisel from Jeneke as well. Squeezing every last ounce of speed out of that flat section. Those flat sections where you just got to do everything you can to find 1,000th of a second.
Bereiter said this at the start of that first run, never has the reputation as being that good at chasing in a second run, better at building on. Let's see if she can chase here. She'll have to do that from 7th here, but she's obviously a brilliant luger, an Olympic silver medalist, Anna Bereiter, and she's well under Jeneke's time, a 10th of a second ahead as we would have expected her to be at the start. It's the splits down the course that will tell the full story. She stays in the green here at that second split.
Okay, good cushion to play with here, 10th of a second, still in the green. But she's going to have to really make every single split count, because we can see this track now starting to slow. These shots, you can see the ice deteriorating second by second, minute by minute. And it's stabilizing the time, Dave. It looks like she's not losing anything through these split sections.
And that wasn't happening in that first run as Bereiter tries to pick up speed and does, and into that labyrinth now she goes. That wonderful shot from behind. We see her flying through that curve, and is she going to get in front? She is. Oh, she is. Bereiter extends the advantage. That was a really good run from Bereiter, and that throws down a challenge to the rest as she takes the lead.
That was a great labyrinth from Anna Bereiter. You just saw her letting the sled fly through there, doing as little as possible, but still making it go where it needed to go. As you see the 12-13 transition just bouncing on, but just keeping her calm as she goes from 13 to 14, fully committed, head back, toes pointed. Great sliding from Anna Bereiter to go into first place.
You're going to have to explain to us one day, Mark, what it feels like when you go airborne like that. Goodness me. Even just a little bit. Now then, you set down a good time, and then you're followed by the world champion. The winner in Winterberg last season in this event. Second already in the mixed singles. Julia Taubitz goes now for Germany. One of the pre-race favorites, and she makes a little mistake there at the start. Lost time there, Taubitz.
How costly is that going to be, though, Dave? You know, you look at that, and we've seen them working so hard on the starts in the second run, you know, trying to control the controllables. Where can I gain the most speed at the top of this track? And that mistake could be so costly for Taubitz.
Certainly one of the worst starts we've seen, certainly in this second run. She's still in the red, and she's nearly 0.2 of a second outside the time of Bereiter, and they haven't been picking up time down at the bottom. She's going to need a dramatic finish. She's going to need something like Natalie Marg showed us here as Taubitz flies in towards the labyrinth.
She could be about to run out of track, though. Little mistake into Kreisel earlier on as well. That will have cost her, but she's sending it through the labyrinth, doing everything she can. Little spray of ice out of the back of the sled into finish curve. Can she do it into 7th for Julia Taubitz? Those mistakes at the top just compounding down this track, and we know when the track gets into this condition, it just has to be perfect. An uncharacteristic run there for Taubitz.
Still Bereiter leads then. There's the error.
I mean, she dealt with it so well. Just that little tap of the foot, but those marginal gains you get at the top in this start, so important. This is the entrance to Kreisel we were talking about. We saw her just go so early to Kreisel, and when that happens, you've got to do so much work in the entrance of Kreisel to fix your mistake.
Mistake comes, the mistake's compounded when you're trying to chase the mistake, I guess. Schulte goes next. We are down now to our top 5 from the first run. Lisa Schulte, 55.946 in that first run. Third, remember, in that Olympic test event, Schulte. She looked a little shaky for a moment there, but she's under the time at Bereiter. Just over 1/10 of a second clear at the moment.
My goodness, this start curve is giving us the entertainment we thought it would. Such a tricky section for these athletes. See her there stretching out through these top curves, 4 to 5.
She goes into the red though, Schulte. She's just under 0.04 of a second now behind Bereiter as she tries to chase down the German. Can she make up the time? This split is going to tell us so much. Where is she? No, she's lost a bit more time as she heads down to the final part of the course.
It's going to be everything or nothing in the labyrinth. Into 12, into 13, finish curve, little skid into finish curve. Has she done enough? Up the hill towards the finish, crossing the finish line into 2nd place by just 28 thousandths of a second.
Sport of absolute fractions. Mark's already used the phrase of marginal gains, and she didn't gain enough. Bereiter still leads it. There's that start. It's almost the same mistake as Taubitz.
Just going to say that, almost identical in the way they dealt with it, very similar, that body weight transfer.
So Bereiter leads the way. Janika's there on the podium. This might just be the athlete she's most worried about, her teammate Merle Frebel. Already 3rd in the mixed singles with Langenham, but remember the reason that was 3rd was him, as he confesses, not her. The winner of the Olympic test event, one of the favorites for gold. Can Frebel lay down a marker? That's a good, clean start from Frebel. That's nearly 0.3 of a second clear of Bereiter. Now then, Frebel has started well. Can she build on that down the course? Frebel might just be going for gold here.
Oh, Frebel done all the hard work at the top of the track. 1/3 of a second to play with here. That's a decent cushion in this sport that's timed to the thousandths of a second for a reason. She goes from 6 into Kreisel. That's much, much better as well. Putting together a really good run here and definitely having a tilt for the top spots.
It feels that way. She's lost a little bit of time. She's down to 0.2 of a second her lead. It's going to be fascinating to see what she does in the final part of this course. A minor error there from Frebel as she heads into the labyrinth and moves around the corner. 133 kilometers per hour. It's going to be so close, and she's done it. She gets ahead of Bereiter, she punches the air, and Frebel now is going to take some beating as we head to our top 3. That was just magnificent from Merle.
Well, we think, has she done enough? We will see in 3 sleds, but you've got to say, after that run, she couldn't have done it much better. You saw that little error in 12, very high, diving out. But then 12-13, a little high in the entrance of Kreisel as well. Sorry, entrance of finish curve. That may have cost her a couple of hundredths, but Frebel done everything she can to put herself on those 3 steps of the podium.
The only athlete so far that's gone under 56 seconds on both runs. Here's Elina Bota, the Latvian, starting in third. What a chance for her. Big, big opportunity for Bota. Can she build on that first run? Because it's Frebel who's laid down the marker here. 12th here at Winterberg last season, and she's in front after a good, clean start here, Bota.
Absolutely, and what we saw from Bota in the first runs was some massive mistakes further down the track. And we said, well, we know she's got something in the tank for the second run. She's going to have to find that now because she's starting to go into the red, starting to lose time.
Part of that loss of time is down to the brilliance of Frebel. She has to pick up time on her now. And Bota needs to find something. She can't make the mistake down at the bottom of the track, but we know the speed she achieved in that first run. Just a 1/10 of a second for Bota. Can she do it again? She could pick up speed here as we head for the labyrinth.
Out of 12 into 13. This is critical. She's hit before the finish curve. That tricky uphill section, that's going to take the speed off her. It's not going to be enough. Into 6th place for Elina Bota. Massive disappointment for the Latvian athlete.
Wow, that was a chance. That was a big chance. She couldn't capitalize. The 2 Austrians to go. Schwarz and Prock. Frebel leads. Bereiter second. A German 1-2 with Schulte, the Austrian third at the moment. What a shame for Bota.
It was there for the taking. Definitely not an easy challenge, and you saw her lose some time at the top. But the initial part of the labyrinth was solid, but then you see her just get hung up in the exit of curve 13. And when that happens, it sends you straight to that right wall and into that uphill curve.
So still, only 1 athlete has gone under 56 seconds twice, and that's the lead of Frebel. Dorothea Schwarz now. Penultimate slider here, needs to hold it all together. What a chance for her as well. Just under 500ths of a second ahead of Frebel, but we would have expected that. It was a clean start there from Schwarz. 10th in that Olympic test event. Heady heights here in our opening event, and she stays in front, although she's just lost a little bit of that advantage. But it's here where Frebel started to pick up speed.
Well, it's a margin, but it's not much of a margin. 17 thousandths, just building on that to 21 thousandths. So she's found a little bit of speed from somewhere, but is it going to be enough? She gets into 8-9, just bumping onto curve 9. That may affect something. Deals with it well, though. Keeps her cool, keeps calm, but she's gone into the red.
Schwarz in the red, Frebel in the lead. Schwarz into the labyrinth now. It's going to be close. Has she lost time? She has, I think, unless she picks it up. No! Schwarz into second. Frebel leads with 1 slider to go. It's going to be Frebel or Prock to win here in Winterberg. It's over now to Hannah Prock.
Dorothea Schwarz thinking, have I left anything on the track? She made some mistakes down there, but it was a pretty solid run from Schwarz. We saw that commitment. But this little bump onto 9, how much did that cost her in terms of multiplying that advantage through the steep bit? But let's be honest, Dorothea Schwarz is going to be leaving Winterberg with a bronze World Cup medal.
Bronze at worst. She's on the podium, but now Hannah Prock, what an opportunity for her. This, the final run, that's the time she has to play with. Already third in the mixed singles here with Wolfi Kindle, already a 2-time Olympian, remember. Came back from a serious sacrum injury. Sacrum injury is a nightmare in this sport. But can she fly down here and win the opening race of the season? We look eagerly for this first split. Where is Prock? She's still under. She's under by nearly 500ths of a second. She's going well here, Hannah Prock.
Absolutely going well. 500ths of a second to use. She needs to find something from this Kreisel, though. Very difficult to do. So flat through here. But Hannah Prock doing everything she can to squeeze time into the steeps. She goes from 8 to 9. Same mistake as Schwarz, just bumping onto 9. Is that going to cost her? Let's see by this next split, but she's setting herself up well to the labyrinth.
She's given herself a chance heading into the labyrinth. She's still ahead. Is Prock going to get gold here? It's Prock, or it's Frabel, and it's Prock. She did hold it together. Oh, what a win for her. That is something so, so special. I think most people here thought Frabel might end up on top there, but Hannah Prock didn't make the mistake of her teammate Schwarz. She holds it together, and in the end, she wins it with something to spare. Disbelief from her. What a win that is. Third here in January of last year, 14th in last year's overall standings, but now she wins our opening race of this season's World Cup. Hats off to Hannah.
You want to talk about being ice cool under pressure. Well, that was it. Even with that little mistake into 9, you just saw her keep her cool, keep her calm, stay committed. And the result, a World Cup gold here in Winterberg. Great sliding from Austria. And you see what it means to the coaches. Just such a great weekend for the Austrians.
There's our winner. Still can't believe it. You better start believing, Hannah. And people will say she got some luck in that first run, but you know what? You make the most of it, and she was still absolutely outstanding. The luck's only luck if you can take advantage, and she does, and she wins it. Frabel, wonderful in the second run for second, and Dorothea Schwarz, another Austrian podium. So 2 Austrians in the top 3, and not too many would have predicted that. Taubitz ending up 12th, just showing the margins can go against you in this sport. And just to pick the bones out of that race, Hannah Prock winning here, the 3rd fastest second run. It won't surprise anyone to know that Frabel had the quickest second run. Of course she did. Schwarz only 11th quickest on the second run, but it was enough for 3rd. Frabel, the one who probably left something out there in that first run, but how much could she do about that because of the conditions of the track? In a way, Frabel's form is a thing to take from this race as we move on to different tracks and different challenges. But our winner, surprise winner at the start of the day, Hannah Prock. She went so well in the mixed event with Volpi, and she's gone even better. 2 podiums for Hannah this weekend. Look at the emotion too. By the way, it's Lisa Schulte who goes in the team relay later on. In case you're wondering, not Hannah Prock, the winner of our women's singles here. There's the glorious countryside all around Winterberg. I was reading actually about the region. It's a very big business region, about 80,000 businesses in South Westphalia. People are also telling me that hiking and cycling are very, very popular here. I'll tell you what, if you cycle around here, you've got to be Jan Ulrich to get around here. There's so many hills. Hannah Prock making full use of those hills and winning. Merle Frabel second, Dorothea Schwarz third. And that's, of course, how it translates into our World Cup table. 100 points, 85, 70, and so on and so forth. The mechanics of those points will be explained at some point why it's 39 and 36, but we just trust it for the time being that it all evens out over the course of a season. Prock, though, very much the star. That's her winning run. And with all that pressure on her, she knew what a chance it was. And we saw previously with Botta and Schwarz under pressure, big chance of a lifetime at the start of that second run. Botta ended up being 14th fastest, Schwarz 11th fastest, Prock 3rd fastest, which was good enough to win over the 2 runs. She takes immense credit, and she'll take so much from this too. Action to come from the biathlon. Coming up next, you can see it there. Light starting to fade in that event. Top commentary team on that, so join them for the biathlon. That looks like hard work as well. I think everyone needs to go and have a little bit of a sit down. We'll be back with the Team Relay World Cup event. That's coming up in round about an hour's time. If it's anything like this, do stay tuned. But get yourself a little bit of biathlon in the meantime, and we'll see you shortly. From Mark Hatton and me, Dave Farah, until next time, I do hope you enjoyed that second run. It was something else. Bye-bye.
Schon wieder durchgemischt und die Julia ist gerade bei uns, kriegt gerade noch ein Interview und ja, wollen wir gleich mal mit ihr sprechen, mal gucken, wie es hier so geht nach dem zweiten Lauf und ich bin gespannt, was sie dazu sagt. Aber wir geben ihr noch die
So we'll just well, we still wait to hear from our athletes here. Well, we'll take a look at our podium. Prock, Frabel and Schwarz. We'll also hear from the athletes involved as well. Had our colleagues and friends, Discovery and Eurosport, a special show for that women's singles. We can hear now, though,
Anna, congratulations,
from our winner.
What a race here for you today, and it's your first World Cup win, especially in a season that's so important for you today. How was it for you today? How do you feel?
Yeah, thank you. It was really amazing. I was so nervous at the start, but I could finish it really, really well, and it was fun to slide today.
It was quite a tricky track for you. Did you change your preparation with the different conditions today?
Yesterday was also like this, so at the training, so we didn't really do a lot. So yeah, it was fun to slide.
So great to hear then from Hannah. And we'll see Merle Frabel's getting over there ready to talk to us. Tell you what, there's a few athletes in other sports could learn from these luge athletes. Could try saying that after a drink. These luge athletes about helping the media.
Merle, congratulations on the podium again today. Just coming up from Cortina where you won the test event. It's a great start for you into the season, right?
Yes, right. I couldn't wish for a better one. I hope for this for the win, but Hannah was faster, and I'm really happy for her. It's her first win.
How was it for you, the track today? It was difficult conditions. We saw a lot of mistakes on the track. How did you prepare for it?
We already had this preparation conditions this week, so it's not that different to the training. And I think I do the best. Thank you.
Love the honesty as well. So many athletes are trained these days to sort of go along with what the interviewer says and just sort of agree and maybe turn it in their own direction. I've already seen several times this week the luge athletes, as lots of you guys watching will know, of course, actually call out the questions. It makes it a nightmare when you're the interviewer.
Doro, congratulations. What a run here today. You had a little bit of a mistake. Take us through your run.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, I had little mistakes. In the first run, I lost my visor. And in the second, too early in the 9. But I'm really happy with this resolute. I want to say thank you to everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
I would say you lose your visor and then you make that mistake in the second run to still finish third. That's not a bad day's work for Dorothea Schwarz. So that's the story from Winterberg. It wasn't that fun. The women's singles, we've got so much to come. The first of 9 World Cup events, remember. And we'll be back with a team relay a bit later on, digitally for you. Visors or no visors. See you soon. So welcome back to Winterberg. Well, let's take a look at the track at Winterberg. That's where we are right now. And we look ahead now to the Team Relay World Cup, in which Poland, Romania, Ukraine, Italy, Latvia, then Germany and Austria go. And we can take a look at the track that faces them here. It's the doubles track, 945 meters, 110 vertical drop, maximum speed estimated at 128, so 11 corners for this. And the signature one is at Veltins Kreisel, corner number 7. It's one where you can lose speed and it can really, really cost you. Then we head down the track, down to that labyrinth. And then that uphill finish, and that little section has caught so many people out. So the Veltins Ice Arena, we've had a great weekend. Absolutely wonderful weekend, uniquely so as well. More on that in a second, but Mark Hatton, of course, is with me, who always likes to talk temperatures.
Yes, I do. Love those temperatures, and you can see the spritz going on the track there. We saw the air temperature outside is 7.7 degrees, more suitable for beach volleyball than luge, but that's how it is here in Winterberg. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't, but what they are good at, this track crew is just making the best of what they get. They make good ice, whatever the weather.
If you're playing beach volleyball in 7.7 degrees, someone needs to have a word.
Oh, they breathe us tough in Rayners Lane.
I knew you were going to say that. The outside later, having a play. Now, remind us, for those people who are new to this wonderful world, what is going on here, temperatures being taken of runners and so on. It's ever so intricate, isn't it?
It really is. This is where the coaches have so much input in their timing to get the runners to the perfect temperature. There's a board up there that's changing constantly, that's linked to the air temperature, and the coaches have that job of making sure that those runners are right on the limit of the warmth that they're allowed to be.
So just to explain how this team relay works, it kind of is what it says on the tin, but it means that all 4 disciplines go one after the other, starting with ladies singles, then the men's doubles, then the men's singles, and the ladies doubles finish off. We get that great slightly harem-scarum situation, of course, where they have to do the changeover. They hit the tab at the end, and the gates open, and so on and so forth. So it's lots of fun, isn't it, Mark?
It really is. It's wacky races and so much action in the team relay. When it came into the Olympics, it just captured people's imagination, got us a whole new audience for luge because it's action from top to bottom.
So here's the start list. Poland, Romania, Ukraine, Italy, Latvia. You'd feel it's going to be a fight between Germany and Austria, and there is a detail about that Austrian team that you're going to bring us.
Yes, indeed. We've had a last-minute replacement. Hannah Prock moving ahead of Lisa Schulte onto that team. So we just got confirmation of that a few minutes ago. Now, the teams, they have 10 minutes after the singles race to make those changes. So they would have been rushing down to the race office to get that change in. So, yeah, we're going to see Hannah Prock doing double duty today.
And is it as simple as it seems, in the sense that, you know, Hannah flew and won that singles event, therefore she's going faster, therefore she takes over?
Well, pretty much, quite often. There's sometimes some darker arts, darker sciences, but really it's you put your best horse first.
So she can build on that. She can make it a double win. She can make it a proper weekend, can't she?
Absolutely. It's such a great opportunity off that maiden gold medal for Hannah Prock to do the double this weekend.
Right, so we will prepare to get underway. It will be Klaudia Domoradska to start things off for Poland. Then it's going to be Chmielewski and Gankarczyk, Sokovic, the singles, then Domovic and Piwkowska. to round things off. Remember, you can't make mistakes with those changeovers. They are trickier than they look.
Yes, they are indeed. And what is interesting for this team relay is the athletes have to come all the way down to the doubles start, which is great for the doubles. But the women and the men, they don't spend a lot of time down there. So the lines are slightly different, the speeds are slightly different, and there's some subtleties that they really have to work on. But Domoradska looking very comfortable going from that double start now.
And will we expect similar sort of ice speed issues to the ones that we might have had in that women's singles?
I think so. You know, it's not going to get any colder here. It's still early in the day, so the track will deteriorate. The great thing about the relay is we get through these sleds fast.
So 49.220. Chmielewski and Gankachik take over now. Can Poland set a time?
Chmielewski and Gankachik's new on the back of this double sled, but these guys, I said this the other day, they look like they've been together for so many seasons. They're working really well together. And Chmielewski-Kowaleski before, that was a solid doubles team as well. So it looks like they've just picked up where they left off.
Yeah, good old Kuba, such a popular slider, wasn't he? It's going to be Matthias Sokovic to take over from these two. 123 kilometers per hour as they head towards the changeover. Don't sit up too early. Nicely done. Now Sokovic. Poland looking to set the time here.
Absolutely setting the time, and that reaction time in the bottom corner is a great metric that we now have in this relay, where we can actually see the reaction time of the athletes. It says change time, and that's a really good teller of how sharp these athletes are at the start.
And in a sport, as you're always telling us, of thousandths of seconds and so on and so forth, that changeover, that reaction time can win or lose you the race.
You know, it's really good, especially for the kind of the middle of the pack nations like a Poland, who aren't always on the podium, to have those other skills come into it, where maybe, just maybe, they can close the gap on the big nations.
So let's check out this reaction time. 2.236 was the change time there, a little bit slower, and a mistake as well at the start.
Yeah, that mistake at the start. Again, it's such a tricky start curve. That curve 4, you go down into the track, and the sleds have to stay on the left-hand side of the ramp. If you go onto the right-hand side, just run out of ramp, and you can't make the cut into that hard right turn, curve 4.
Domovic and Pivkoska. So difficult when you go first. You get the fresh ice, but you're trying to set the time. Little mistake there, and they slid again. Let's see how they finish. Interesting technique at the end. 3:15.777 for the Poles.
So that is our marker to beat from Team Poland, our first team down the hill. And apart from those two little mistakes in the women's doubles, very, very solid sliding. You see Sokovic just bouncing on to curve 4. He's probably only ever done 3 or 4 runs from down here, especially in the last few years. And you see him there through the labyrinth, just dropping the anchors, restabilizing the sled, and charging down further on down the labyrinth.
So the Romanians will start soon with Buzătoiu. There's the team. Handeric and Motska take over. Then Cretu's had a really good weekend, Valentin Cretu. And then the veteran Strama Turaru and Manolescu round things off. But it will be Buzătoiu to start. And the battle maybe for the minor places, maybe for something more. A reminder, 5 teams to go after this one. You would think a fight between Germany and Austria, but Mark's already pointed towards it. You know, Latvia would be favourite for bronze, but there's a chance of a podium if you put a really good series of runs together. But you've got to get everything right. First thing to negotiate, this tricky start that these singles races are not used to. What can Buzătoiu do here?
Now that may have been a false start. You just saw the front of her sled just nudge the gate. Now hopefully she hit it as it was opening, but this will be really interesting to see later on.
Well, they're well ahead. How does that impact, Mark? You know, tell us all, if it's a false start, they don't pull them back, but they would disqualify them after the race, right?
I think so, yes. I think the likelihood is they would wait until after the race, because that was just a matter of inches. Could have been our eyes deceiving us up here in the commentary box as well, as we see them go through that labyrinth, carrying speed, 123 kilometers an hour.
Well, it's been a good run here. She does have the advantage, over half a second advantage. Hands over to Handerich and Motzka. And don't worry, I've made a career of making mistakes from the commentary box. Let's see. Let's see.
And Motzka looking really comfortable in that start curve. That start curve, as we said, so tricky, but they did it well in the men's doubles race, and they've done it well again in the team relay, giving themselves every chance. But you see that we're starting to lose a little bit of time. We're just down to 0.2 of a second to play with in front of Team Poland.
Yes, significant amount of time. Lost a little bit more as well. Romanians here on the poles. It might be up to Cretu to fly in that third leg. We're going to see if he can at the moment. Let's take a look at this split. Romania have lost time here. Yeah, they're outside Poland. They had a nightmare finish at the bottom of the track. 1.813 change time. Cretu was a little bit wayward on that start as well, not used to it, but now he needs to get into a rhythm, and he needs to do it quickly here. Look at that. 0.3 of a second over behind now.
If you're going to choose a Romanian to take this run, it's going to be Cretu. Cretu on such a high at the moment. Had such a good weekend here, but he's going to have to pull something very special out of the hat as he goes into curve 11 to set himself up for the labyrinth.
Hasn't been able to pull it back really into the labyrinth. He goes. Cretu, as he picked up any speed, he's still in the red. It would have to be very late and very dramatic. Not quite so. Stramataru and Manolescu go, and they've got so much time to make up, and they make that little error. They hit the wall just after the start.
Yeah, you heard that, didn't you? You heard the sled crunch into that wall. That is definitely going to cost them. They're down to having to try and find 1/4 of a second to catch Poland. But they're going to run out of track, because this, again, it's a very short track, 946 meters or so, and that goes pretty quick at these speeds.
Just under 0.3 behind at that split. Have they picked up any time here? Just lost a little bit of time. Romania on the poles. Poland, I think, are going to have the advantage. 122 kilometers per hour as they spin around that final curve, and they finish. And they picked up time in the bottom, but not enough. It's Poland who still lead the way. Disappointment for Romania.
Yeah, really close racing there. And Romania were chasing it down, but it just wasn't to be. Couple of big mistakes in the labyrinth. Tough on a double sled, obviously, because those curves in the labyrinth are so close together, and those unwieldy double sleds. But look, here it is. And just nudging the gate on the start.
They have been disqualified. Confirmation. So there you go. False start, disqualified. What a shame for them, but at least they didn't throw away a potential win or anything like that. I know it's not much consolation, but still.
And you could see on her face, she just knew it, didn't she? Hard lines there for Team Romania, but it's early days this season, and this young, impressive team have been flying. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't continue to go from strength to strength.
Juliana Tunitska will lead off Ukraine, followed by Hoy and Kaczmar, then Andriy Manzi, another who's had a good, solid weekend, the veteran, then Stetskiv and Mock to bring them home. Careful at the gate. Away she goes, Tunitskaya.
Looks like a last-minute change. That is Olena Smaha. So we've just got another last-minute change through in this team relay. That's the thing, the turnarounds are so quick. It takes a while for this information to get up to us here. But Olena Smaha getting Ukraine going.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I was checking a piece of paper rather than my screen, which has done that update. She's 1,000th of a second in front of the Poles, Smaha.
Smaha putting together something good here, though. She looks confident in that start curve, and this is turning out to be a lovely run for Olena Smaha through the labyrinth. Great finish curve as well. Now stay lying down, don't sit up too early. She gets hands out of the sled, hits it, and releases the doubles.
10th of a second behind the Poles. Here come the doubles pair of Hoy and Kaczmar. Got a little bit of work to do. You can see still in the red here. So far, it's a really good day for Poland. 0.4 of a second behind here, Ukraine.
Yeah, Poland could be just outside the medals looking at this. Although we're possibly speaking too soon, but half a second. This is going to be tough to make up for Ukraine, but they do have some class sliders behind them, with Andre Manzi to go next. Again, a guy who is in such rich form right now, and these doubles doing everything they can with a beautiful labyrinth.
Beautiful labyrinth, but 0.6 to make up there. Manzi's going to have an awful lot to do. 0.9, just under a second now for Manzi. Now, he's had a really good weekend, but not this good necessarily, and he makes that mistake on the wall. Not used to that start, Manzi.
Yeah, that start curve catching a lot of them out. It did the trick, but it certainly wasn't optimal. 1.1 seconds to find, and you've got to think, where are they going to find it from? This bottom of the track, so steep, still in the flats now as he comes around 8 and 9. This is where the mountain just drops away like an elevator shaft into curve 11.
Into curve 11, Manzi goes, still over a second behind. That Polish team will be starting to get really excited at the moment with 4 teams to go after this. Here comes Manzi. How much have Stetsky and Mock got to make up? Too much is probably the answer. Over a second here for the Ukraine women's doubles to bring them home, and up that wall they go as well. Just lost a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, losing a little bit of momentum, got away with it. But Stetsky and Mock with a mountain to climb, but they are climbing it. Somewhere out of there they found 0.2 of a second. Now can they catch up some more? This is going to be tight. Still finding time. They've got it down to 0.3. Making a charge for it on the final sled here, Team Ukraine.
Yeah, here's the charge.
Left it too late?
But that's the question, isn't it? It's the same split, 0.778. As Ukraine head for that target of 3:15.777. Through the labyrinth they go. Here they come. They surely can't have made it all up. No, no. They made up some. It was impressive. They made up half a second, but it's Poland. It's Poland who still lead here.
Well, I wonder if they would definitely have taken that this morning if they thought they could be in this position after 3 teams, I'm sure. Valiant effort from Stetsky Mog there, though, in the top section of the track, who were really on a hiding to nothing with a second to find in this minuscule timed sport. But Stetsky and Mock looking smooth here. But this is that section of the labyrinth where they just bumped on to the finish curve. And as we've seen all weekend, that's such an expensive mistake because that dramatic uphill section just bleeds the speed off the sled.
And just remember, from a Polish point of view, it's a young Italy. It's a young Italy here. And all Poland would need, I say all, it's still a lot, would be a young Italy not to respond to the pressure, and then a mistake from one of the main 3, the 3 favourites for the top 3. It's not beyond the bounds. Poland will be dreaming right now, having gone off first. Oberstolz has been outstanding. Italy should be more than good enough here. Oberstolz, then Brunner and Weichensteiner, then Haselrieder, then Falkensteiner and Huber. That should be comfortably good enough, but let's see, there is some jeopardy here. And Poland will be watching on very, very eagerly. Here's the young star, Oberstolz. Went really well in the women's singles earlier. She gets into position early too. Again, takes the bump off that wall. And let's look at the comparative times here. just outside Oberstolz, so a little bit of time for her to make up.
Nice line through the Kreisel. You see her just going through those blue check marks, which give us a great idea from home, just seeing how good their lining Kreisel is. She goes into 9, trying to link these two curves, and she does little early to 11, but deals with it really nicely. She sets herself up for the labyrinth.
There was a mistake there, which might have cost her a little bit of time. Still in the green, though, as she comes round that final curve. Has Oberstolz done enough to set off Brunner and Weissensteiner in the lead? She has. Nearly 0.2 of a second. Great bottom part of the course there from Alexandra Oberstolz. Now Philipp Brunner and Manuel Weissensteiner go for Italy. The men's doubles trying to pile on the power, pile on the pressure, but they've lost time. 3,000th now behind the Poles, who did both start really well, and that's shining through.
Yes, that start curve from this doubles was great. That start curve never looks pretty on any sled, but they made the best out of it, those guys, and they are going well here. Italy still with something to make up, but is it going to be enough? Poland looks to have absolutely played a blinder.
The Polish run looks better and better. 125 kilometers per hour. The handover now to Haselrieder. The pressure on him. Is he going to start in second? Well, he's over a 1/10 of a second behind. He's got a lot of work to do. He's got to chip into that, and he is caught out by that turn at the top of the start as well.
Haselrieder keeping calm, keeping cool there though, and making the best of that choppy start with a nice smooth entrance to Kreisel. Now he's going to calm everything down and then charge after curve 9 when the track gets steep. As he goes from 8 to 9. Can he link these two curves? Yes, he can. Sets himself up with every chance in the labyrinth.
How much work, though, is he going to give Falkensteiner and Huber to do here? Because they're going to be behind. It's by how much, unless he's absolutely flown through the labyrinth. Let's see. Here's the handover. Just over a 1/10 of a second. He did pick up some time at the bottom. So now, Nadia Falkensteiner, Annalena Huber. Remember, Poland the target. Are Poland going to have an outside chance of a podium here? Are they going to finish ahead of Italy? Let's see. Still there's time to make up. And they're running out of time here, the duo.
Just getting nudged away on the entrance of Kreisel. Not a massive mistake, but this is going to come down to tiny margins. They've lost a little bit of time. They've got to find 2/10 from somewhere.
Is that doable? Just about, but it's got to be absolutely perfect from now for these two Italians, and it's not perfect. They went airborne, and they've lost so much speed going into the labyrinth. Big mistake there from the Italians, and it has cost them dear. Into third they go. Poland still lead with 3 to go. Look at the reaction from them.
What an effort from Team Italy, right down to the wire until that labyrinth caught out another one of our teams. Just saw that doubles team go airborne, probably a foot off the ground. That was a big, big jump. See them, they just come on early, front of the sled comes up, and when that happens, you're just a passenger trying to make the best of the situation. You see them go into 14 here. You'll see the rooster tail of ice as they put on the handbrake. Handbrake turn round the entrance, and Ozzy Haselrieder there, he knows what's what, and you can see the disappointment on his face as he sees the inevitable.
Oberstolz was great. She set them up, but they couldn't back her up. And now, after her great run in the women's singles, Elina Botta will then be taken over from by Bots and Plumer. Apayods, who was disappointing, and then Upita and Pavlova, the only Latvian pair on the podium so far in those mixed doubles. They've got a big chance in the team relay, but they've got to take it. Remember, with Germany and Austria to go, Poland still in front. Quick turnaround for Elina. Again, let's take a look at this start. The reverse tells us so much. And she just goes up that left wall and loses a little bit of momentum. It's the common mistake we've seen, isn't it, Mark?
It really is. It never looks pretty, but there's different levels of prettiness in that curve. And when you go up it and ride it, you've got it, and you come down, you've just got to be so soft in the sled to soak up that bump But yeah, Alina Botha, she had great runs this morning, but she made some mistakes down at the bottom. So we've got to make sure she doesn't this time as she goes into 11, setting herself up for the labyrinth.
4 tenths in front at the moment from Botha. Feels like sanity has been restored here. Latvia doing what they should do. Still a lot of work to go, though, for Bots and Pluma, and here they go, but they've got 6 tenths to play with.
Yeah, Bots and Plume in good form right now. Alina Botha saving the best for last. She had a few problems in the women's singles earlier today where she made mistakes on both runs in the labyrinth, but that run, she did everything she could to put her team well in front, and it looks like it's worked.
Yeah, right now you'd feel that Latvia right on top. The Poland, if they are dreaming of that podium, need a big mistake from Latvia. Need them to lose significant time. It can happen, of course, in this sport, but at the moment, Bots and Plume are going really well, but they went airborne there.
Ice coming out the back of the sled, that is going to slow them down significantly. But if you want someone to go next, Krista Zapiots is your man. Such an impressive slider, such a powerful slider. Krista Zapiots not used to going from the start. He's got to get in that sled first, as you see him get his arms in the sled just as he went into curve 5.
But he's picked up time. He picked up a 1/10 of a second because they did slow at the bottom, Bots and Pluma. But at the moment, Apayod still in control. Upita and Pavlova, he's going to hand over to. Over half a second the advantage here for Latvia over the Poles. The unlikely Poles at the moment still in the lead with Germany and Austria to go, remember. Latvia build on their advantage. 6 tenths in front now.
Apayod starting to relax into this, though. Made a little mistake out of 9, but fixed it straight away. Waits until the last second to sit up and releases the women's doubles team of Anda Upite and Madara Pavlova. What a weekend for Pavlova on the back of this double sled, her first World Cup. Wouldn't it be great for her to leave here with a medal of any color?
At the moment, she's favourite too. They still have half a second advantage, which is a long time, but much can go wrong quickly, as we've seen all weekend. They've extended that advantage, though, to 6 tenths. These two brilliant young Latvians, Upita and Pavlova. Looks for that racing line here, and it looks good still from the Latvians. Still 6 tenths.
Good setup for the labyrinth. Managed to thread the needle into the finish curve. So many of these doubles team bumping on early. They get away with it. Got to wait till the last minute. Stopping the clock with almost a second. They found half a second on that run. It's a wonderful run from Anda Upite and Madara Pavlova to put Latvia into first place.
Yeah, Latvia lead then, Poland in second, but we know what's coming next. It's a big face-off. The two giants will butt heads, Germany versus Austria. But Latvia went really well. Latvia guaranteed the podium here as we expected them to be. Poland second right now.
See Bots, Plume, it almost all went sideways for them there. It did literally going into 14 as you see the ice come off the back of the sled, but that was so close to disaster for Team Latvia. But Bots and Plume using all that experience to keep it going. Latvia, well deserved, currently sitting in first.
So now, this is going to be good, I tell you. Germany versus Austria effectively. Freible to lead off, Wendel and Alt, ever heard of them? Then Locke, the singles winner. Degenhardt and Rosenthal already with a win. And Freible taking nothing away from our winner, in many ways the moral victor of those women's singles because of the way the first run played out. And she knows it too. And she was desperately disappointed, and she doesn't want it to happen again. It's going to be Merle Freible then. Still needs to do everything right as she did earlier on. Freible deals well with that start. What else did you expect?
She's got to be feeling so confident now after last week's test race where she topped the podium, and after that, just beautiful second run today in the women's singles where she just missed out on the top spot, still leaving with a silver medal. Merle Freible, really one of the form Germans right now.
This shows how good that run of Elina Botta was, though, because Frebel is outside it, although she does pick up speed lower down the course, Frebel, and she's already doing that, but a mistake there from Frebel. The target 48.610 as Frebel comes around through that labyrinth and is just outside. She's third, in fact, after that first run. So, over for Wendel and Alt, the legends of the men's doubles.
Wendel and Alt dealing with that start curve as they do with just digital precision every run they take down this track. Wendel and Alt looking to extend that lead, and they do. They've already got it into the green by 69 thousandths of a second.
Just incredible how quickly they turned it from red to green. There was a significant deficit, over a tenth of a second, but already they're green, and now they have the advantage the other way, over a tenth in front of Latvia here. The two legends, Wendel and Alt. One of them said yesterday that we're not robots. They look an awful lot like it sometimes. 2/10 of a second, nearly a quarter of a second in front. Handing over to the legend Felix Lok, who goes high on that wall.
Felix Lok going down the right-hand side of the ramp. He managed to get it over, made the best of it, but that could cost Germany. But they've got quarter of a second to play with. That should be enough. But as we've seen in this team relay, there's so many variables. The doors are open all the time for any team.
And Lok keeps picking up time, but remember, it's not necessarily the difference to Latvia that's going to matter. It's going to be Austria to go last. They need to go as quick as they can here, and they are doing. Lok is picking up time all the time. Into the labyrinth he goes.
Lok's signature head up the curve works for him as he gets his hand out of the sled early but stays flat and releases the women's doubles team, Jessica Degenhardt and Cheyenne Rosenthal.
And Degenhardt said yesterday they do not like this course. She, with a big smile on her face, said we don't enjoy it here, but they certainly had success here. They did yesterday, just inside a second in front, but just to remember, that is to get ahead of Latvia. We still have Austria to go after this, so Degenhardt and Rosenthal really need to fly. It's over a second now.
The most experienced team on the women's doubles circuit. They've been around in this sport since its inception, and you can see all that experience coming to play as they thread the needle through that labyrinth, driving it like a single sled through the labyrinth. Just beautiful work there from Jessica Degenhardt as they wait, and stop the clock with 1.6 seconds. Was it ever in doubt? Well, maybe for a split second at the beginning, but there's a few certainties in life, and Team Germany coming up with the goods is one of them in the sport of luge.
Just remarkable, though, not just to get in front, but to take that much time. Wow. But Austria are formidable, as we see Germany again. Frebel, if anything, was a little disappointing there. It's all relative, of course, but her high standards, which are exceptionally high.
That little bump onto 14, just going airborne, but again, dealing with it so well. What could have been a massive mistake didn't work out too bad for Team Germany. And Wendel and Alt just getting into the green so quickly. And look what it means to them. Winning is a habit. And Germany, make no mistake about it, continuing that habit.
But let's remember, Austria will be led off here by the ladies' singles winner, Hannah Prock, then the men's doubles winners, Gatt and Scherp, then Müller, who won in the mixed singles, and then, of course, Egler and Kipp, who are just one of the very, very best, second in the women's doubles. This is going to be so tight. It's also going to be about as thrilling as this sport gets. Prock to fly first. How does she negotiate this start, Hannah Prock? That's number one.
Hannah Prock, I'm so happy for her. That gold medal in the ladies' race today, so well deserved. And you just got that feeling after Pyeongchang at the end of last season, when she got that bronze, she thought, you know what, I can do this. And she proved it today. And now she's got to try and prove it for her team, but she's got to find a quarter of a second from somewhere. First sled down, Hannah Prock for Team Austria.
And of course there is a danger that it's after the Lord Mayor's show a little bit when you've just won the first World Cup win, a massive moment for you, and you're looking for another one here into the labyrinth. Hannah Prock trying to set the time. Germany was so quick. If anything, Frabel was the weakest. Where has Prock got? Just outside. 500ths of a second outside, nearly 600. So now over to Gat and to Scherp, the men's doubles winners.
Prock finding something special in the labyrinth there. She went from 2/10ths back to just 600ths. So giving her teammates every chance. So continuing her form from the singles.
3/10ths behind at the moment, Gat and Scherp. Germany was so quick. Can Austria get near them here?
Gat and Scherp right on the edge there in curve 9, almost tipping it over in curve 10. Getting away with it though, putting together a half-decent labyrinth as well. But have they lost some time with that mistake out of 9? Yes, they have. They're back to being a quarter of a second back. But now the form guy on tour right now, Jonas Müller, takes up the mantle.
The form guy needs to be the form guy here as well. They've got time to make up. He's made up a little bit already, just outside. 2/10ths of a second. Müller is so big, so physically strong, and he distributes that weight so well on the sled. Can Müller do it here for Austria?
Couldn't have put it better myself. He's a big, strong man, but he moves on the sled like a gymnast. Such a great, smooth, natural slider. We see him slide through that labyrinth with just absolute precision. If you're going to catch it up, this is the guy you want on your team. Hands out of the sled, opens the gates, but it's dropped off some more. We're almost 4/10ths back.
Egler and Kip need to make up nearly 4/10ths. A little bumpy start from them as well. It feels improbable, but they are more than capable. It's got worse though, just inside 5/10ths. Remember, they're going to have to rip apart a brilliant time from Degenhardt and Rosenthal. And are they capable of doing it? It's getting further and further into the back mirror now. Austria have got too much surely to find here.
8-9. Looking good through 8-9. They've done everything they can to set themselves up for a good labyrinth. Hanging on the end of 12 though, but get it back together for this finish curve. This tricky uphill finish curve that tripped up so many of our athletes. Half of the pads missing. They've got to reach up extra far, and they don't make it. Austria into second, so that means Germany are our winners in this team relay. Austria second. Incredible racing there, and Latvia in third place. And the shock of this race, Poland just outside the medals. You called it right, Dave. That was close racing.
Feel a bit for Poland. I mean, they'll enjoy the fact they finished fourth, but all they needed was just, I mean, wishing no ill on anyone, don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean. They needed, Latvia nearly did it as well. Bots and Pluma nearly did make that mistake that would have put Poland on the podium, but hey, they'll build on that. Austria were great, Germany were greater. That's the headline from here.
And one of those things that you love about this race is that, as you see him just destroying the touchpad there with his spikes. But one of those things, it always gives those smaller nations a puncher's chance. You know, there's so many variables, such a great addition to the sport of luge.
Yeah, talking of puncher's chance, by the way, a friend of mine, an ex-world champion who takes athletes from other sports on the pads, as they say in boxing, and he often says to me, such and such a footballer, I tell you what, he's got some right hand. I bet you Jonas Müller's got a decent right hand. We could see it there, couldn't we, when he hit the touchpad. But he's got some power and leverage in those shoulders and arms. Goodness me. Nice guy, though. I'm not suggesting there's anything martial artsy about him. He's a big smile on his face, but you know what I mean. He could if he wanted. Veltin's Ice Arena looks great. Germany win gold in the team relay, then Austria and Latvia and Poland, as Mark was saying, the shock of things. Romania disqualified because of that false start. With great precision, by the way, we get updates sent through from the organisers. We've had a brilliantly detailed video of the false start sent to us to show exactly what was wrong. But of course, Mark alongside me picked it up straight away the moment they were out of the gate. That's a lesson learned. Italy, in many ways, the disappointment, finishing sixth. That young Italian side not quite having it in this team relay event. So here are the highlights. Here's where it was won and lost. Here's the winning Germans, Freible leading them off. Disappointment earlier with a silver, but gold now.
Freible making that mistake that could have cost Germany so much, but when people are on fire and on form, sometimes they just keep on going, and Freible doing so much good there.
Then Wendel and Arlt, who rarely do anything wrong.
Full commitment from the Tobys round that uphill finish section. And Felix Loch, I mean, rolling back the years. He seems to roll back the years with regularity, but back on the podium this weekend. And Felix Loch, what a man to have in your stable. I mean, leading it off that gold medal in the men's singles, and more great sliding from the master.
Yeah, great weekend for him. And then rounded off by the mighty Degenhardt and Rosenthal. And do you remember when they won yesterday, Degenhardt with a smile on her face said, yeah, we quite fancy the team relay. When they said, well done on one gold. Yeah, all right, wait and see. She was right. She was right.
That crystal ball and this team, I think, have got to be one of the hot picks for Olympic gold. It's early days, but when they crossed the line the other day, they said, we are back. And they definitely are with a vengeance. Team Germany, as always, delivering the goods.
Crystal ball, will it be crystal globe come the end of the season for them? So great racing. It's been some weekend. We will present our winners as we're doing that, because we know what's going to happen. Bouquets and announcements and smiles and punches at the air. As we're doing this, just sum up the weekend for us from your perspective, if you don't mind, Mark. It's been great, hasn't it? Great fun. And of course, uniquely over 3 days as well.
It's been one of those World Cups where you could have rolled a dice for any of these winners. I mean, Felix Loch, so good to see him back on the top step. Jessica Degenhardt and Cheyenne Rosenthal just dominant in that women's doubles. And, you know, Gatt and Schopf, that was close. Interesting not to see Wendel Arlt on the top of the podium, but I'm sure we'll see them again. But the highlight for me this weekend, really, Hannah Prock, her first gold, just absolutely wonderful.
So the Germans punched the air, and we'll hear, of course, from all of our, maybe not all of them, that would take a long time, but we'll hear from a selection of our podium athletes, or else we'll be here for the rest of the afternoon for the interviews. But yeah, it's been great fun, and we look forward to the next couple of weeks where I think the saying is we go stateside, excitingly to Park City in Utah, and then, of course, to the legendary venue of Lake Placid.
One very fast track here in Winterberg to another even faster track in Park City, the motorway that is a 2002 Olympic track awaiting us next week.
There's the photo. Headwear has become quite interesting. I'm guessing it's an advertising thing. Why not? If you're them, you can do what you want. Frankly, had that much success. Got plenty of those bouquets over the course of the weekend as well. Now, our intrepid interviewer is doing his best to get down there and have a chat. Very much looking forward to next week. It'll all be live for you from Park City. And what fun it has been. I must thank Mark as well on air. I've thanked him off air, but for being so welcoming and kind to me. Very much a new experience for me. Very much not an expert in this sport, but trying to be a good counterbalance to Mark, and everyone's been awfully kind, so it's great to find a kind sport. There aren't many of them anymore on the inside, so thank you so much to everyone, and to Mark in particular. And we look forward, and if it's this much fun, I'm coming back. If it's this much fun every time. So we wait to hear.
Guys, congratulations.
Here we
the
go.
reigning world champions in the team relay.
Microphone
won again.
appears,
What a
stage
start
right.
to the Olympic season. How was it for you?
Thank you. I think it was a good team performance today. Everyone did a very good run, and in the end, when this happens, the German power is beating the other. So we are really happy. The weather could be better, and we hope in January it's sunny, and we have a closer final.
Thank you, guys. Congratulations. Sehr gut einstudiert.
Goodness me, was it me or was that quite self-confident, Mark?
I think so. I think they know they're on a hot streak, and they also know that, you know, Olympic year and this Winterberg track, when it's working, it really is working. I mean, I think just once more, before we get our next interview, hats off to the track crew. They've worked so hard, and everything's been against them this week. So this track crew in Winterberg can enjoy a well-earned waffle and possibly a glühwein.
I like the idea of a well-earned waffle. That's brilliant. All I've been doing all weekend is waffling, so it's the last thing I'm going to eat. Anyway, we're going to hear, I think, from Austria and Latvia. Just to be clear, though, what we just heard from Germany was, if we're at our best, no one can beat us. That's what they said, really. Not so many words. Quite like that.
I think that's throwing down that dominance at the start of the season. Why not? If you can, why wouldn't you? It's good to see and keeps the other teams ready to chase them down.
Yeah, and also, if you can get in their head early on, in a sport of milliseconds, and less than milliseconds, get in their head. And that's what they're doing, isn't it?
Congratulations on the team performance here on a rather difficult track today. How was it for the Team Austria here on track?
Yeah, it was great. We had a really great weekend with top results, and everyone had their best races, and I think we tried to put it together at the team relay, and I think we had some problems, but at the end we ended up in second place, which is just perfect.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah, Gat and Sherp are going to have a big season. We're going to hear, I think, from one of the Latvian athletes. Can I see him? Yes, I can. I think someone is there. Can't quite work out. Might be Alina Botta, but it might not be. That's helpful, isn't it? As we wait for our interview. The minute I ask Mark a question, he's going to ask the question, the interviewer, so there's no point. Just waiting for a cue. I can see him over there in the corner, just next to where the glühwein stall should be. Big screen relaying. In fact, at the moment, the big screen's relaying a picture of the people standing in front of the big screen. Here we go.
Team Latvia, congratulations. You won here last time. It was a very difficult track here today. How happy are you with your team performance?
We are happy with the results. Helene, I think, was the fastest, so we are looking forward for the Olympic qualification in January here.
What are you taking from this track here when we're coming back for January?
Experience. At least I had 2 runs here good in 9 curves, so I'm taking all of knowledge to Olympic qualification in January.
So all smiles at the end for Latvia. Gives me a chance just to ask you before we leave everybody, Mark, just to finally sum up this glorious weekend in Winterberg.
Well, I mean, the Germans just so solid on their home track. But it's so nice to see different flags above the podium, you know, sharing the wealth. And we've seen that there's mainly between Germany and Austria, but some of the outsider nations getting so close to the podium. And it's just been a wonderful advert for our sport. It's been such tight racing. And if it's the first time you've switched on and watched Luge, see, it's pretty special.
It is that, extremely special. I thank Mark again, the 2-time Olympian, for talking us all through, giving us a great guide to this sport, giving us all of the nuances, everything good, everything bad. Germany and Austria battled it out for much of the weekend. In the end, Germany won that team relay, but Austria with success in the women's singles with Hannah Prott. What a story for her. From all of us from Winterberg, bye-bye. See you next week in Utah.
auch sportlich überlegen. Die jetzt unterlegt. Die anderen wieder zu den Wechselbringen hier. Aber wir haben noch einen Wechsel hier im Internet, das Nummerwechselbringen im März. Und ich denke, das war jetzt Skispringen. Ja, das kennst du ja, das Snowboard-Event, das kennst du ja auch sehr gut. Da warst du ja auch schon aktiv, ich übrigens auch schon mal. Und Skispringen in Willingen, da freue ich mich natürlich auch drauf. Da werden wir natürlich auch wieder die Kunden fliegen lassen, hätte ich fast gesagt. Das sind so die Sprüche, die wir da raushauen. Aber wenn es dir passt und du Zeit hast, da Ende Januar, Anfang Februar, also ich würde mich sehr freuen, wenn du uns besuchen kommst. Und ihr natürlich auch. Seid uns alle herzlich willkommen. Da geht's dann mal anders zur Sache.
Juri, Gratulation, extrem starke Teamperformance hier, wieder am Podium in Winterberg. Wie war für euch die Strecke heute? Wir haben ja gesehen, es hat einige Fehler gegeben auf der Strecke.
Ja, erstmal danke und ich glaube, es war wirklich ein tolles Wochenende für das gesamte Team und da sieht man einfach, wie gut wir als Team zusammenarbeiten, wenn da wirklich jeder vorne mitfahren kann und das ist einfach lässig, wenn wir uns da so ein Battle eben mit den anderen Nationen und vor allem mit den Deutschen bieten. Und heute, ja, Winterberg ist immer ein bisschen schwierig. Und einfach, wenn 4 Schlitten hintereinander fahren, nachher zählt es wirklich, dass jeder halbwegs einen guten Lauf bringt, dass man nicht zu viel Zeit abschießt. Und ich glaube, das haben wir heute geschafft. Das hat nicht ganz für den Sieg gereicht, aber ich glaube, da werden wir uns dann ab und zu wieder mal abwechseln.
Was nehmt ihr mit von dieser Strecke für Jänner, wenn wir wieder da sind, vor allem für euer Setup?
Ja, ich glaube, Setup, wir haben jetzt die letzten drei Jahre schon wirklich gut gefunden, da für die Bahn und wir nehmen viel Selbstvertrauen mit und dann sagen wir wieder, was kommt. Das wird wahrscheinlich wieder schwierig werden und dann werden wir wieder oben stehen, das gehört alles dazu und wir freuen uns. Und danke fürs Zuschauen und fürs Daumendrücken.
Ceremony here. You say Team Luge World Cup presented by BMW, the teams from Latvia, Austria and Germany.
Doro, Gratulation zu diesem Lauf hier. Unglaublicher Start in die Saison. Wir haben gesehen, beim ersten Lauf hast du dein Visa verloren. Wie hast du dich dann auf den zweiten Lauf vorbereitet nach dem?
Also wenn ich ganz ehrlich sage, ich war ziemlich überfordert, weil ich in der Situation noch nie war, also zweite nach dem ersten Lauf. Ich war sehr nervös. Aber ich bin so froh, dass es noch ein Podium geworden ist. Ich bin überglücklich und will Danke sagen an alle, die was mich unterstützt haben. Es freut mich wirklich.
Wir haben nach dem ersten Lauf schon gesehen, die Bahn, die Konditionen waren dann schon ein bisschen schlechter eigentlich. Wie ist es dir ergangen beim Runterkommen?
Ja, ich habe im ersten Lauf habe ich natürlich eine super Startnummer gehabt wegen dem Nationen-Cup vorgestern, Entschuldigung. Und man hat schon ein bisschen gemerkt, dass er abgebaut hat, aber es war noch voll okay. Ja. Danke.
Hanna, Gratulation, was für ein Start in die Saison, dein erster Weltcupsieg und noch dazu in so einer wichtigen Saison. Wie geht es dir mit dem Sieg?
Danke, ja, mir geht es natürlich mega gut. Also hätte ich mir die Woche nicht erwartet, war richtig lässig. Ich habe meinen Start nochmal ausbauen können und hat voll Spaß gemacht zum Fahren heute.
Wir haben gesehen, die Konditionen nach dem ersten Lauf waren schon ein bisschen schwieriger. Hat einige Fehler auf der Strecke gesehen. Wie ist es dir gegangen mit den Eiskonditionen?
Ja, das hat man natürlich mitgekriegt, dass jetzt nicht gerade das beste Wetter zum Rodeln ist heute, aber man muss einfach immer Vollgas geben und dann macht man das heute auch und ja, hat Spaß gemacht.
Second place, representing Austria. Make some noise for Hanna Brock, Julie Glass, Ricardo Schöpf, Jonas Müller, Silvia Engler und Lara Kiel! Nun, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, kommen wir zur siegreichen Mannschaft und die kommt aus Deutschland. Ladies and gentlemen, the winning team of the EBERSPAECHER Luge World Cup presented by BMW, representing Germany. Mehr Filme, Tobi Lenz, Tobi Lenz, Felix Abschluss, und Cheyenne! Die Medaillen werden übergeben vom Vorsitzenden der Jury, Herrn David aus China. Awarded by the chairman of the jury, David from China.